and welcome to the Comixpiracy episode 552 for the week of, I don't even know what month it is, Tuesday, July 26, 2022. We're back after a hiatus and recording a couple days late, thanks to San Diego Comic-Con. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here this week.
Brock Sager.
And Kevin. And maybe someone else.
But someone else is in the chat. I assume it's Toby. Don't actually know. He's not responding. Now remember, we have had problems where Toby is, for some reason, unable to get his chat to work in here. That has happened. I am unsure what his deal is. Toby, if this is you, do not restart. Just talk. Unmute yourself. Message me on Facebook. Text me. Whatever you want to do. And if you're someone else, then that's cool too. I guess we'll just kick you. I have no idea who this is. Maybe it's a bot. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. Toby was supposed to be here also to talk about Comic-Con because he was with us all weekend. But I guess short podcast with no Toby, no wacky Toby adventures. I have like 1.5 trillion topics, and we may not get to any of them because we're just going to talk about Comic-Con. I'll maybe bring some of this stuff up randomly as I can discuss some of it as we get to it. But I've got like 50 news stories here, so I don't know what we're actually going to talk about today.
You could make next week an overflow for the.
I'm sure some of the stuff we'll be talking about for a couple of weeks. As topics come up that warrant it, maybe I'll go off and discuss a few of these things. But San Diego Comic-Con. Myself, Kevin went, Toby went, our friend Lane, who's been on a couple podcasts, he went, and we had ourselves I'd say eventful, but calm weekend, all things considered, for Comic-Con. How do you feel crowd-wise, Kevin?
I would say it was... I had talked to a few reps who were there, and everybody was wondering, would this be closer to the special edition or closer to normal Comic-Con? And everybody's feeling was kind of, this was definitely on the end of the spectrum toward normal Comic-Con. So maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10. If 10 was a normal year, this was somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, it felt like for 2019, this felt pretty quiet. Again, Saturday was packed.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was like, the normal capacity. Like, even on Friday, I could like stretch my arms out and spin in a circle and not touch someone at points. Obviously, there's areas where you're going to get jammed up with a bunch of people. And there was, it's still a shitload of people. It's Comic-Con, but it's not, it was not back to 100%. So as far as I know, right, they didn't actually sell any tickets for this year. These are all rollover from 2020 to 2021, now 2022. I think some people literally died. Some people thought they were going to go and change last minute. Probably a lot of cancellations because of, COVID spread and infections in the last couple of weeks. It's tough to know what next year is going to be like. I would expect maybe, unless something crazy happens, a little bit bigger. But it was okay because I think you had a couple less booths, a little bit more room to walk around. The panels were busy, but not, you could get into them, not Hall H. But you actually could, like Thursday, Friday, Sunday, like you could have walked into Hall H, not Saturday.
Right.
But you could have walked into Hall H, which even on those days, that's not really the case. In a normal week.
I had to go over to that Hilton.
Or a normal year.
The Hilton multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about for the bar night. I'm talking about like for the press stuff. And every time to get to the Hilton from the convention center, you walk along this path where the Hall H queue is.
Right.
And so they had like tented areas, like with canopy coverings. But then there was this crowd of people along the building who were there for the big guns, like the Marvel
Saturday.
And it's like people with lawn chairs, with like beach umbrellas, coolers. Like you come as if you're going on a camping trip, but your camping trip is just sitting on that sidewalk all night. And so that was a normal.
Yeah.
I know Charlie and his kids have done that in the past.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like in previous years you were there like for multiple days if you want to do that. I don't know that was really the case this time. When did they start the Saturday line? Do you know?
I don't know, but I definitely did not. As I went back and forth to the Hilton, you would see a group of people lined up in a queue, and then they'd be gone the next time I went over.
Yeah.
So they were definitely clearing it out. It wasn't people out there for days and days, but there was a big crowd with all of their camping supplies who must have been there at least for one overnight.
Overnight. Yeah, I expect overnight is typical, but yeah, I don't think people were there for days. Yeah, when I went down that way once or twice, there really wasn't a lot of people over there because it was, Thursday or Friday. I didn't go that way Saturday or Friday night, like the back half of the day. I was there early. So, I don't think there was a point where there was, a ton of too many people waiting. Obviously, the big Saturday panels with Warner Brothers and Disney, different. But I flew in Thursday morning. You got there. You and Toby both got there Thursday morning too. Yeah, a little before I did.
Lane was there a couple days ahead of us because he drove.
Yeah, he drives and he does the preview night too. Like we kind of skipped the preview night, so
he goes up on Tuesdays.
Yeah, he drives up on Tuesday, so he's there ready to go Wednesday.
In our case,
yeah, and he got like I know he said he got like. He burned himself up pretty quick. Like he went hard, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. Like I barely saw him. I don't think he went to the convention on Sunday. Right? I think I saw him
once on a sidewalk Saturday morning and did not see him at all for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. So I haven't talked to him since we got back. So except very briefly online for a minute. But yeah, I think he went a little too hard.
Yeah,
Con's tough, man. Like he said. Me and Kevin, like I'm fucking exhausted now, and this is 2 days later, and I'm just like, oh my god!
It's one of those things where it's like I'm either too old for this game, or I'm just don't have my con legs after so long off. I'm gonna go with the second one.
It's funny because Toby was, he's like, I just go. Once you stop, it's over. But if you just go, I'm fine. And I honestly like. I slept decent. I never set my alarm. I just said I was going to get up when my body told me to get up. And one day that was 6:30 and one day that was 8:30. And that's, fine. I slept a good 5 to 6 hours every night. But yeah, once I got home, it was over. My body just said, nope. You can do that for 4 or 5 days. But then you're done. Like we got to catch up.
The listeners will enjoy the conversation you and I had on Thursday in the Bendis line.
Oh yeah.
And this is a quote from Ryan. I can't believe I've got 3 more days of this. And we have been there since Thursday morning, and this is Thursday at 5.
Yeah.
And he said, he says, I'm already exhausted.
Well, so I have the same thing happens to me with Disneyland, right? The first day, so I'll go, let's say you're there for 3 or 4 days, right? The first day I'm like, I can't do this. I am so tired after one day, right? And then you're in the rhythm of the thing, and the next couple days are bigger and you're doing more stuff and you're just go. And then all of a sudden it's Sunday and I'm like, oh shit, it's over. Like, this is it. I'm done. Oh my God, that flew by. But yeah, Thursday night, I thought I can't make it. I'm not getting up. I can't do this tomorrow. I'm dead. But then, yeah, like you said, once you get your sea legs, as you say, right? Like your con legs. Yeah. I definitely was not prepped. Yeah, it was tough. I definitely wanted to hear a couple things from Toby, so I really hope he does pop on here. But yeah, there's just a bunch of I know I was at
streaming right now, right?
Like he might be, but he also has my phone. He could text me. Like he's not doing anything, so I have no idea where he is. there was
Well, they got to break it down. So you both got there Thursday.
Yeah, I'm like trying to piece together in my head what we did.
Okay, Thursday was just the overwhelming sense of like being back in the hall after. I mean, I went to the special edition, but it was nothing like this.
I think I just walked the floor Thursday. I didn't do any panels because the two panels I wanted to do were Thursday morning before I got there: the Tom King and Tom Taylor panel and the Dark Crisis, the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths panel.
Yeah, the Joshua Williamson one.
Yeah, maybe we'll touch back on that later. And of course, I find out after the panel that, at every panel, DC's giving out this special pin, and there's 5 of them. Well, actually 6, but there's 5 of them. And if you go to all 5 of the DC panels, you get all 5 of the pins. And I was like, motherfuckers, like, God damn it. I totally would have flown in like the night prior or something like that if I knew that was going to happen. Well, not for the pins, for the panels, because they were the very first panels on Thursday. I'm like, why is Tom King panel on at 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday? Like, no.
You're on his schedule, baby.
That's
You're
a
not
prime
on
time
anybody else's schedule.
That's a prime time panel. No, I don't know why the con scheduled it.
Well, that was also, just to share your pain, one of the exclusives that I won was the Tom Taylor Bruno Redondo, the private signing, and you had to pick up a wristband for that between the hours of 6:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. on the day, and my flight landed at 9. And so I was just like, well, okay, someone else can enjoy that slot in my place.
I don't like that at all. Like that's crazy.
It's crazy. You have somebody in the employ of this is technically DC, but of the exclusives area, who has to be at a table at 6:30 in the morning to hand out a wristband.
The doors aren't even. Are the doors even?
You can go up. You can go up to the pavilion.
Because you could get your badges and everything. Yeah.
But anyway, so I missed out on something Thursday morning as well.
Yeah. It's that was frustrating. So I mean, whatever. Not frustrating. Just I wish I knew, because I would have. But what are you gonna do? So I just walked the floor. I know. So Brian Michael Bendis was signing. He was signing his new book from. I wish I knew the publisher off the top of my head. Abrams, yes. He has a new all ages graphic novel, like young adult graphic novel coming out through Abrams. So me and Kevin waited on that and picked up that, and I know they sold out. So that was like the advanced copy. And
so Bendis came to Comic-Con to do one panel for Abrams, sign at their booth, and then he left the convention center for the airport.
Yeah, so he was only there for Thursday. Yeah, that was it
for 2 hours on Thursday.
Yeah, so we kind of planned to go in and do that. I wish I was also in a case where I wish I'd sort of planned that better, because I would have brought. I got the book. I didn't get anything else signed by him, but I would have. There was the guy in front of us that had the suitcase, and we're like, oh god, because you could, as long as you bought the book, you get whatever else you wanted signed. So the guy has a suitcase, and we're looking at him, and we're like, "This motherfucker's
to picture, it's like a roller suitcase, like you'd carry on a plane." And we're thinking, this is full of like trades or comics.
He's gonna pull out 100 books to get signed, and we're gonna sit there forever. And he pulled out like 2 books, and then the totally unassuming guy that was right behind him, that was directly in front of us, out of this like bag of holding, pulls like 1,000 books out of nowhere,
right?
Like the stack.
It's like a magician trick. Like the bag he had was not big enough to contain the books he pulled out of it.
You didn't see the person walking past with an actual case,
like a little short box or something.
No, we were distracted, Brock, by the suitcase guy. We didn't know the real enemy was right behind him.
Exactly.
So we're like, where the hell did these books come
they're
from?
All for CGC, so they all have the taped corner where to sign, and there's a CGC witness who has to stand there, and then they've got to blow on the ink to dry the comics off.
So it's all, Ultimate Spider-Man #1, first appearance Miles Morales, Ultimate Fallout. It's all New Avenger. It's all the keys. It's all for CGC, right? So look, whatever, do whatever. I don't care. But of course, the guy with the 100 books is standing right in front of us. So that's how that works. So that was cool. We talked to Bendis for a few minutes. He was super nice. And I've never met him. No, I have met him.
Didn't you talk to him for something? Didn't you talk to him for a store event?
Yeah, We've talked with him. Yeah, I've talked with him. But I was gonna say, wasn't he at Isotope once?
I think he was, but I can't remember what that was for.
Yeah, I think I met him like years ago at Isotope, like a long ass time ago at Isotope. But yeah, I haven't. I mean, I've talked with him like through email, and he called in for the Action Comics 1000 signing, right? Because he called like the West Coast stores. But yeah. So that was like first time in a long time actually like having a conversation in person. So yeah, Bendis is super nice.
So then I left Bendis and went to Brian Vaughn and Cliff Chang signing.
Yeah.
And then
that was the other one that was one of the other ones you won, right?
No, that was
or Paper Girls.
No, that was the other one I won was Gotham on the next day. The Paper Girls, they were just there to do a 1 hour signing. And that was kind of wrapped up Thursday because they were closing the con down when I was in line for those guys.
Yeah. Because I think they closed maybe at 6 or 7. Like
7.
Yeah,
it was 7. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 7 every day.
Then we went out to dinner.
Yeah. We just went out for dinner, had some drinks, met up with some industry people, my friends at DC. We talked to them for a bit. Thursday was pretty low key for the most part. There wasn't a ton going on, which is pretty typical. All right. Yeah. So Friday I was in panels all like half the day. They had I probably have I wish I had
DC had a bunch of panels on Friday.
Schedule here it was
the Gotham one and
Scott Snyder also.
I did the Dan Slott. So I had 4 panels in a row. There was the Dan Slott spotlight panel. So that was right when the con opened at 10 a.m. So just him talking about his life and all that stuff. I actually asked him a question because they do Q&A. So I was like, Dan, huge New Warriors fan. You wrote some New Warrior stuff back in your earlier days of Marvel. He wrote some like the non-line. He wrote some annuals. He wrote them in a few other places. I was like, they've tried to reboot them a couple times, hasn't really clicked. What do you do with them? And he's like, I just give it back to Fabian Nicieza. Just like, I just give it back to the man that created them because I don't know what else to do. Nothing else clicks. And I'm like, that's the correct answer. Then there was the Scott Snyder
Comixology, right?
Comixology, right? So he was talking about all the upcoming books, which he then had another panel on Sunday that was like kind of a panel with all the people that were part of it. Dan Panosian and Tula Lote and Jamal Eigel, as well as Scott. But that was later. So yeah, just Scott's he'll talk forever. You just get him going. He's got a million stories, and so yeah, just him talking about having left at DC and doing his own thing and working through Comixology and doing all his indie books and kind of where his career has gone. And then you guys joined us, right? I think.
So let's see. Thursday, I had to go over to the Hilton for the interview with Dominic Monaghan.
Because you actually are I should say I was supposed to do the DC or the Diamond Retailer lunch.
That's Friday. Yeah.
Which is Friday. And I'm looking at everything and I'm like, it's right up against the DC panels. It doesn't look like it's going to be that good. And I made the correct decision because apparently it was really bad. And all the free swag you got was really bad. So I don't know. Look, I wasn't there. I heard from people that it was 100% not worth going and that I went to the significantly better. I made the correct choice of going to these other panels instead. Yeah, so you were there for work. So you actually had like interviews to do when you had.
Yeah, but they were all like randomly placed in the days.
Yeah.
So like it would be, be at this place at 2:30 in the afternoon. Like, Jesus, could you schedule this for 10 a.m.? Never mind the Tom King panel. So then Friday when you were I think we joined you in the panel maybe for Snyder.
I think
there was Gotham.
Maybe at the tail end or something.
Then there was Gotham.
Yeah, so
and then I had won the exclusive for the Gotham signing. So after that, I had to follow the panelists from Gotham into another signing room where you wait in line and they'll sign your stuff for free.
So that was Ramvi,
Jock.
Jock was there.
Cheney Howard.
Jeannie Howard, who's doing Catwoman, and I know we're
Sean
forgetting
Murphy
someone.
was there.
Sean Murphy, yeah, Sean Good Murphy, who's doing the White Knight stuff. So they were just talking about kind of the state of Batman and what they were doing on their books and promoting a bunch of upcoming stuff. So that was always cool. And that they gave away the third pin there, which was the Catwoman pin.
Yeah.
And then you guys left,
And
you
stayed for what was after.
So
Gotham.
it was the Jim Lee.
Oh right.
Thing was afterwards. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's see if I got the official. Yeah, it was just called Jim Lee and Friends, and so they that was the panel. That was the panel to be at. I'm sorry that you missed it because it was good. It was good.
I couldn't have stayed even if I had wanted to stay. That was the problem.
Yeah,
because of the timing.
yeah,
but
yeah.
you got to. Do you want to tell the story about the breaking news about the Jim Lee panel, which you discovered on your phone?
Oh. so you're right. I mean, I talked with publishers and stuff like that, and so there was a little bit of a heads up, like you gotta want to go to this panel. There's going to be some big stuff, and so like the panel's about to start, and I'm just like the 30 seconds from the panel starting maybe. And I just jump on my phone. I'm looking at my RSS feed, and I'm like, I won't say the site, a website, a popular comic book website posted their Gotham recap. Because clearly they get all the, they know they get to pre-write these articles and then publish. They also posted their Jim Lee and Friends recap panel before the panel started. Like, full spoiler. And I immediately am like, I don't think you meant to post this yet. Nobody saw it. So nothing. I checked Twitter. Like as his panel was starting, like they took it down after a couple of minutes, but it was on my RSS feed, so I could see like it captures like the start of the article, right? And so like I'm like, I mean, look, whatever. It's 45 minutes before the announcement. It doesn't really matter. Who knows? I don't know. Nobody else in the room knew. And that's all that really matters, right? But I did a quick Twitter search, quick Reddit search. Nobody had seen it, and so it was down. The link like was still active, but it would take you to like a oops, that page doesn't load page. So I was like, okay, good. You guys were lucky on that one that you caught that you posted the article too early. But yeah, so. There they announced with Dennis Cowan that they are doing more static, obviously from Milestone, and they are going to launch the Milestone Generations. It's a documentary that's going to be on HBO Max. It's this week, right? It's Friday, Friday, July 29th. That's all about the history and founding of Milestone Media, which was created as part of the early 90s with DC with their all black creative team staff and characters and Static. That's where Static and Icon and Rocket and Blood Syndicate and all those books come from. So I'm actually really excited for that. I mean, Milestone's kind of a big gap in my reading of DC at the time. I don't say they weren't popular. They just were not. I never saw those books on the shelves, right? I mean, the whole idea is exactly what they're saying, that we're trying to service a different audience, and we want these books to become more popular, and they were not common. It's hard to find those books. They're not like they didn't print millions and millions of them. Obviously the Static comic did better in the show, and that character's had a lot more success, but it's pretty hard to find some of those early Milestone comics. So I'm super excited for this because I don't know a lot of the history of like the formation of the company. And then I don't remember the order in which it happened. I think it was Riddler first. Paul Dano came out, who was the actor who played the Riddler in the Batman movie. So we knew this book was happening. He's writing a Riddler Year One comic for DC. Like he's writing the full thing himself. He's a huge comic book fan. And so he's doing a Black Label series. So they had artwork for it, promotional stuff. So we're in the third row. I'm 15 feet from Paul Dano up there on the stage, like talking about the comics. That was super cool. He's super nice, real knowledgeable about comics, super big fan. Not just, oh yeah, I read a comic once when I was, no, he is like legitimately a comic book fan. And so it was cool to hear him talking about, how much he likes everything. And then, so the kind of arguably the biggest announcement, I think, and I think most people would agree, was McFarlane came out. Todd McFarlane came out, and he said 5 words, which is, I wish Toby was here again. Toby, you're killing me, boy. Where are you? You got to get on. You got to get on because this is your story. So Toby's recording this, right? And so Tom McFarlane comes out and he goes, all right, I'm here at a DC panel. I'm here with Jim Lee, which means we are only going to talk about one. I got 5 words to say to you. Batman, Spawn, Capullo, McFarlane, December. Batman, Spawn, first crossover they've had it's the 30th anniversary. They're going to do a 30th anniversary crossover. Comes out in December. They're going to have artwork and all the stuff at New York Comic Con. They're going to have a bunch more coming up soon. But he's like, this is going to be the best-selling book of the year, maybe the decade. He's like, we're going crazy on this. Capullo's doing the art of his life. McFarlane's writing and inking it. Every artist is going to do a variant cover. So this is going to be a huge, huge hit. Obviously, sure, Batman Spawn's, this is going to be a big book. So the funny thing, Toby, is panel ends, we leave, right? I mean, there's still more to say, but panel ends, we walk out, and Toby's like, yeah, it was really weird when McFarlane said 5 words, but then he said 6. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, yeah. He said Batman, Spawn, McFarlane, Capullo this summer. And I'm like, huh? He said, yeah. He said it comes out this summer. And I'm like, well, no. He said December. This summer is now. It's not coming out now. It's not coming out next summer because that's next summer. He said December. And he goes, no, he said this summer. I'm like, no, he said December. He's like, no. And he pulls out his phone and he's playing it on his phone because he recorded the thing. And he's like, yeah, December, this summer. And I'm like, no, Toby, he said December. We're listening to it.
So you're telling me you had a broken Toby by Friday.
Toby eventually relented. He's like, oh, I guess he did say December. And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know. It was a very funny Toby moment. Very good stuff. That was a very cool panel. So, part of the con experience is, random celebrity, hey, nice, that's cool.
Hey,
Paul
the
Dano's just
person
walking
that
around.
raised their hand.
Hey, Toby, you wanna talk? You wanna jump in? This you? No.
Nope.
And
They're gone. Goodbye. Bobby D. No, what the hell was
Dylan D.
Dylan D.
Maybe that was not a raised hand; it was a wave.
It could be. Goodbye. It was just Toby making sure I told the story correct, and now he left. Well, he's trying again.
Hey.
Whoa.
Hey.
I've been on the entire time.
Did you hear us say multiple times? Like, you should message me and
ignoring me.
No.
Wait. I swear this exact scene has happened before on another episode.
Yes, it has. Toby, we asked multiple times. Could I hear if you were saying you could not hear?
I said hello, and you guys were like, yeah. I was like, well, if you guys are fucking eating, I'm gonna go get something else real fast.
No,
and
we have
you guys recording, so I was staying quiet.
Oh, Toby, never change.
So, Toby, we're just caught up with the. We're at about Friday afternoon. If there's anything you want to add.
Oh, I've been here the entire time. I know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, I thought you dropped off. Sorry.
No, you guys missed the best Ryan story before that. Ryan's picking on a Toby story. I have to call it Ryan on a Ryan story. So we're like, having drinks, having food at what's it called, the Blind Burro, right? So we're multiple people showed up. There's a good amount of people there, right? So there's 2 groups of people talking. All right, Ryan's talking to one end, and then the other group is talking on this end. All right, and this end we had our friend Timmy from the Ventura stores, right?
Oh yeah. Timmy from Arsenal joined the gang this year, so we hung out with him quite a bit. Yeah,
so he was telling a story, and he was right about get to the punchline, and seriously, he had us all. Our tensions were we're all like, we want to know, right? And Ryan, out of the blue, goes, hey man, you know that thing, and Timmy turns around and totally left us hanging with the punchline. Ryan had no idea he just fucked us all on the punchline. Ryan was just like, no, only my world exists. Fuck all of these guys. Talk to me.
It's a group talk. I was just like, oh shit, this okay.
When you hijack someone else's conversation. I don't know about to land the punchline.
Yeah, all night you guys were like,
have to get Timmy on so he can finish up.
Oh, dude, we should totally have Timmy on here.
Yeah, you should.
Timmy's great. Yeah, I should.
But Toby, you know why that Ryan story is forgivable is because he picked up the tab. If you pick up the tab, you can interrupt anybody at any time. This is true.
Yeah.
It was, just how the conversation went. I had a very quickly, it was like, oh shit, he needed to answer the question that I had to tell the other people. So I didn't
he
mean
was giving us the punchline, you're like, hey, stop talking, talk to me.
I didn't mean to.
Sure. Only then afterwards, Timmy forgot what his punchline was, and we're like, what the fuck?
Oh, he didn't? He didn't remember?
No, he got there eventually, but
okay.
You destroyed the moment pretty good there on that one.
I took the steam out. Yeah. Wow.
So
Toby, McFarlane spawned this summer.
Yeah, this summer.
Yeah.
I was gonna
good times.
You guys are actually horrible storytellers. You neglected that we were right outside the bathroom arguing about this. And
and this is random guy.
This random guy listening to us, just holding his laughter, going, "These fucking idiots."
Not
my best moment. I will let that be because I didn't sleep the night before. And
Toby, I was going to ask you because I don't actually know this. What off-sites did you get into on Thursday and Friday?
You guys all just disappeared on me.
Oh, there he goes. We lost
him. Right. I still don't know the answer.
I don't know why.
This is going to be a fun podcast to edit together.
It's like Steve. Oh, man.
Yeah. I'll just say, let me.
Well, Lane is. I think Lane is in the chat.
Yeah.
On our videos.
Geez. Oh my God, what is going on? Everyone.
Why doesn't Lane join the Zencaster? I'm assuming you're editing all this out.
Lane, if you want to join the chat, if you want to join Zencaster, go on. Yeah, we've lost Toby, so. Okay, well, while Toby figures out how to work a microphone.
So we better count a bumper here so you have a place to edit. 3, 2, 1.
I don't edit anything. It's fine. We'll
sorry, I'm trying to make it sound semi-professional.
No. Just
professional.
I know.
So
I know,
tired.
Brock,
it's the best I could do to do anything. Oh, no, we just lost Toby entirely. And now Lane's here, I think. So it might be Lane joining us. We'll see in a second. This Lane? Hey, there he is. Lane's in the chat. We lost to Toby, we gained a Lane. So, Lane, hit us up. Well, Thursday, Friday. We're like midday Friday. What had you been doing? You were there for preview night, and then you were there for all day Thursday and all day Friday. Oh yeah, You're. We're not seeing your thing on Zencaster. Then this is we run a tight, clean ship here on the Comic Conspiracy podcast. It's not. We're not picking up Lane. Well, we'll see.
The Zencaster said waiting for microphone access.
It says recording, but it's Lane. Lane, when you say something. Yeah, we got nothing.
Great radio.
Okay, well,
this radio is fantastic.
Never mind getting your con legs back. How about your podcasting legs back?
Yeah.
I think we all need to go back into the shop and record with a board.
Oh God, no! Never again! No, this is funnier. This is great. While they're figuring it out,
so we're midday Friday.
Yeah.
So I left you because I had to go over to the Hilton for Paper Girls interviews, which is for people who haven't seen or experienced a press. It's called a roundtable day. What it is a bunch of tables like you'd have at a hotel dinner, kind of like in a conference room, and you've got maybe 5 press people at a table, and then 2 representatives from whatever the project, or maybe one or 2 representatives from whatever the project is, will come and sit for 10 minutes, and you just have a conversation at that table. And then it's like musical chairs, and they move to the next table, and somebody else comes and sits down. So we chatted with the actresses who play the Paper Girls, and again, Brian and Cliff, and the showrunner of the show, and then a couple of the supporting characters of the show. So I feel like I am now a Paper Girls expert, and they gave us a screener for the first episode as well. And I'm not supposed to talk spoilers, but anybody who likes the comic, you should probably check it out.
I did not finish the comic. I really need to. I'm going to pick up that compendium.
Well, you'll be able to check that in once the new invoice comes in.
Yeah. Nope, we got a bunch of them back in. Yeah, because I know the show's coming up. I got maybe through the first 2 volumes, and I'm like, yeah, this will be something I'm going to want to pick up, kind of keep going with. And I'm like, oh, it's over. Cool. Oh, a show. Yeah, nice. Now I'll actually get to it. I feel like Paper Girls, I know they're changing some stuff, but it seems like it's gonna be pretty accurate. Yeah,
it's a mix of this was one of the direct questions. It's a mix of accurate, and then they veer off from the comic and then come back to it and veer off again. So it's not a direct adaptation. And if anybody who's read Paper Girls, it involves a lot of time travel and dimension jumping and things like that. So you have room to kind of play with the story. It's not like Watchmen, where you're kind of following a tick-tock kind of mystery story. That's why I was saying, if you like the comic, or even if you've never read the comic, it's probably worth checking out, because it's kind of both faithful and also its own thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. And that's kind of, in theory, that's the best way, right? Because we can maybe talk Sandman at some point. I'm assuming you did not watch any of that stuff that dropped over the last couple of days for Sandman. Any of the scenes, Kevin?
I did not, because it's coming too soon.
Yeah, so I watched one scene because I was like, I need to know. And it's fucking perfect. It is perfect.
I watched all of it.
Yeah, no.
It's amazing.
So I usually expect they're gonna look, we'll take the source material and then do kind of figure stuff out, and that's usually how these things go. So if that's what they're doing, cool. But if they're it's got the feel of it, it's mostly going the way we expect, and then we're just gonna we're gonna add and build and adjust some elements. Yeah, that's fine, as long as it's the heart of it.
Now, well,
right?
that's the point they were making, is that Brian and Cliff were executive producers on the show, so they reviewed every script and were involved in all. They didn't film the show itself, but they were involved in all of the kind of the foundation of it. Right. And the counter argument is the Zack Snyder Watchmen movie. If you want faithful adaptation, where's the line where you kind of want them to have freedom to go off on their own versus, no, I want a direct translation of the comic onto the screen, which to me is the least interesting version, because why not just read the comic?
Yeah. Yeah, but I get that. But I think with Sandman, right, it's... I don't know. Like it is a specific story, right? And you want a somewhat accurate telling, all right? But I guess there will be changes that they can do their own thing, which could be cool.
It's fun to watch an adaptation of something and be surprised when you're watching it. That's a great experience for me as a viewer, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to get a little bit of that. I expect there will be some minor changes, right? Like, so look, obviously, I'll talk Sandman briefly because I'm more familiar with it, right? Things like Joanna Constantine, right? I don't expect that's going to play out exactly the same way John Constantine's stuff played out. So the little changes like that, I got no real problem with as long as it services the story and does well. So hopefully that's the same case with Paper Girls. So, I think like something like Saga would be kind of on the line of Sandman, where like this is a story that this is a big story that you kind of want to stay closer to. Paper Girls feels like it's a shorter story you can kind of do some different things with and maybe experiment with a little bit. Yep.
But anyway, that was my Friday afternoon, and I don't want to tell tales about anybody, but let's just say that there were some truly painful moments, some excruciating, agonizing moments in that press room with some absolutely inane questioning by people I'm not going to name, but I was like sinking down in my chair and wanted to put a paper bag over my head at one point. And I'll give the listeners one example. No, I'm not going to identify anyone who was talking. Okay. There was a reporter from a source. We were speaking to one of the actors in Paper Girls, who is playing a character who's not in the comic, was created for the show. And he has been telling us about this character who's not in the comic, was created for the show. And I shit you not, 5 seconds after he states that fact, the person with the microphone sitting to my left or to my right says to this actor, 5 seconds later, says, "So we understand your character is very faithful to the graphic novel. Can you comment on that?" And I was dying inside. And I may have been dying like visibly, if not verbally, groaning as my soul left my body. I mean, it was agony. And that wasn't even the worst of the day. But that was my Friday afternoon. There you go.
So why do I want like a camera crew just to like videotape you during these, just for your reactions?
Oh man,
I want sharp reactions, like just TikTok stream of just like.
Well, then on the other is, so there's the person who's oblivious, who probably just has their question in mind and is not listening to what the guest is saying, is just waiting to ask the question. And then there's the other person, another example, is the person who interrupts the guest constantly to interject comments on the answer. And so I asked one question, and this reporter goes, "Oh, great question." The guest gets one sentence into their answer before that reporter interjects commentary on the answer. Painful, man. I'm telling you, excruciating agony. I will always take a one-on-one interview if I can get it, but with something like Paper Girls, you can't get it because there's too many media outlets who want to cover it because it's such a big project, and Amazon is putting on a big show. So, but I was dying. But anyway, back to the con on Friday. What did I miss?
That's funny. I believe Toby and Lane are here again. Toby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Let's hope this records to the end because I can make it a lot easier to add in. Lane, can you unmute yourself? Are we good? Are you here?
Yeah, here.
All right.
Hey.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to shut up. I want to hear from these guys.
Look how professional we are now.
Lane, because you haven't been on, so hit us up a little bit of your preview night and Thursday, Friday stuff. Anything super cool, and because we'll just kind of meander around the con the rest of the time. We got a couple other panels. I know we did some signings, some other stuff. So yeah, just catch us up with where you are up to like Friday afternoon.
Let's see. So I drove in
Tuesday. Yeah.
And I just rested. Got in there early on Wednesday. Let's see. Wednesday, I think.
Yeah. How was preview night? I mean, I would guess it was kind of slow. That'd be my assumption based on the rest of the week, but maybe not.
It was pretty packed, but then again, I'm only on one side of the hall. I pretty much went straight to the artist alley. Went straight for Mark Brooks after he posted his wonderful little sketches online that everybody wanted.
Boy, were we wrong about the prices that we were guessing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most of them were $1,600 and up.
Whoa!
But the one I wanted was already gone, and then he split the two piles in half, so he wouldn't let me buy from the other pile. They're sketch covers, full headshots, full color.
1,600?
Yep.
I mean, they were nice. They were fully colored and fully
Oh,
rendered out.
Okay.
But still, we were guessing a bit lower.
We were hoping.
We were wrong. We were wrong. Well, I mean, it was a guess. It was just a stab, but we were wrong.
Damn that inflation.
Yep.
Well, we were all... based on everybody else's prices, I mean, he wasn't wrong to charge that, I feel like, and if he's getting that money, he gets that money, right? It's just not in my price range anymore.
He did sell some, so I can't say that, was outrageous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran there, basically found out the price, noped it, got a bunch of autographs from him while I could. Let's see. Then I ran around in the area trying to find out Campbell's schedule, Rose Besch's schedule, and a couple others. Mostly just ran around in circles.
Where was Besch? Because I never saw her. I never saw a booth for her.
Frankie Comics.
I don't even know.
It's where they had those blind boxes.
Yeah.
Like, literally, Campbell.
Yeah, I saw Campbell.
She's right next to Campbell.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I totally missed it.
Yeah, opposite side of Campbell.
Yep. Right next to Humberto, also, the other side. Yeah, she's with Frankie's Comics. It's a small comic store. They usually are the ones that bring her out. But her plane was delayed, so she didn't make it there on Wednesday. So, yeah, I mostly just wandered around for a little bit, just getting schedules, saying hi to people, said hi to Philip Tan, and Kirk Dilbeck, and then I think after that I just ran. I had nothing else to do, so I took off for Boom because I remembered that they had the books up. And
Oh yeah. Boom Studios does all their exclusives. I know Something is Killing the Children and Grimm are like crazy hot books, so they had a ton of exclusives. But you couldn't get them, right? Did you end up getting them ever? Or
I got some, not all of them.
Okay.
Basically, they limited to only 50 per day. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I got over there pretty fast, but they were having lots of problems with their system. Like, the guy has to sit there, type into the search engine, house or kids or something, just to scroll for each book, to tap each book as people are trying to buy them.
Oh, geez.
So
no barcode or nope. Oh man.
So it was taking just the cashier about 5 to 10 minutes per person to check them out.
Oh my god.
So the line was basically, the funny part is I would swear half the line just left at some point.
Yeah.
Because it was taking that long.
Oof. Good Lord.
But yeah, for Wednesday night when I got through, I got to the front, and with about 5 people left, they sold out of most of the books. I ended up getting the House of Slaughters. That's it for that night. And that was pretty much it for preview night.
What about Thursday and Friday? I know Toby got in Thursday too. So if you guys got any highlights for Thursday and Friday,
absolutely do.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So unlike Ryan Higgins, I'm a real DC fan, so I do make it to do the Tom and Tom, panel, and do get my absolute beautiful Nightwing pin. And then I realize that they're going to give out pins for every DC panel. So of course, had to go to the next DC panel because I knew, the Ryan Higgins, who's, just kind of a DC fan, is not going to make it. So I just wanted to make sure, I do the coverage for, this guy named Ryan Higgins and collect a pin. Now, secretly, my plan was to go to every DC panel, collect all the pins, and not tell Ryan about it and go, ha-ha! But then Ryan found out about the pins anyways.
Yeah, of course I found out about the pins. You got a Darkseid pin for me? The hell?
I have a Darkseid pin.
Oh, yeah, not for me.
You're asking me to break up the perfect set I have right now?
I'll track him down. Don't you?
Maybe
Don't
you have a little more connections in that realm than I do. So, but if you call him short, maybe.
I'll figure it out.
You have been nice to me in the past. So, maybe I'll return the favor. But the Tom and Tom panel was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to that.
It was actually a really cool panel. I originally was actually not going to go that way. I saw an Instagram post about the Nightwing pin. I was like, I need that damn pin. So when I arrived, I dropped my stuff off at the hotel, and I had to go to the con. And I actually forgot about the COVID wristband that we had to go get. And while I think, Lane, you didn't have that bad of a time because you went on Wednesday, the COVID wristband line was like 2 miles long right in front of the con. So they were starting to tell us to go like to the further one. And, multiple people went to the further one, and it was like just as long. And people were like, why the hell did they send us here? This is like just as long, right? And when we got into the line, it wasn't moving. So that was like the other thing. I was like, oh no, I'm going to spend like my morning in this damn bloody line while everybody's inside already, right? Luckily, once it started moving, it went pretty fast. I mean, for as long as the line was, once it started, it was not too bad. But I had a bit of a sticker shock right going into the con. I'm like, oh no, do I have to do this every morning? Like, you have to tack on an extra couple hours every morning to do this. Luckily, we didn't. But
sorry, real quick. Sorry to interrupt. I should say, because I don't think we really talked about this. You had to be either vaccinated with proof of vaccination. You could fill out the Clear app, or you could go through and do show at the door, or a negative test for unvaccinated people. And then
I believe with Lane it was actually multiple lines, right? With you it was actually a clear line and bring your paperwork line.
Yeah, there were 3 lines for me, and they split the lot. Basically, as you get up toward the front, they split everybody up to the right line. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was the same. So it was one line for me. It wasn't split until you got to the door, basically.
Yeah. Well, for me, I just walked up since there was no line when I was going through.
And it was, and it was, and it was fully masked. So, again, you guys can comment if you have different feelings on this, but I'm pretty confident that 98% of people were masked at all times. It was pretty rare to see someone, they were there, obviously, that didn't have masks on, but 99% of people did. And I saw multiple times where security or, employees or the volunteers were telling people, hey, you got to put your mask on. You got to have your mask on. When you went in, got to have your mask on proper and over the nose. Yeah, like it was significantly better than I expected for all that. So.
I only saw one person ever being told to put their mask on, and I would say I saw only about 85 to 90% masked. There were a lot of people taking their masks off just to talk amongst friends while they're waiting in booths or like in the pro line or.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel like that to me.
I saw a lot of unmasked dealers who were sitting at their table. And they've got the mask under their chin.
Yeah, I'd say that I saw that more than often. But for how many people are there, I think if you took a photograph at any one point, almost everyone in that photograph would be wearing a mask. Maybe everyone.
It's never going to be perfect, but I thought it was pretty decently.
I thought it was
yeah, most people are really good.
As good as it's going to be.
From what I saw, at least, not being there, but seeing pictures through feeds and stuff, most everybody seemed masked. If they were unmasked, they were like taking a quick photo or.
Yeah,
it was some cosplayer that was getting their picture taken without the mask on. So.
Yeah, it was pretty minimal. It was pretty minimal.
And then outside of the con is completely different too.
Yeah, of course. Outside is you're outside. Yeah.
Anyways, I was worried that we had to get that damn wristband every day. I was very, very worried about it. But then they were like, no, this you could keep on. But on the other hand, you have to keep that wristband on for 4 straight days.
I took 8 showers, 10 showers with that thing on, and never had a problem. So
yeah, me too. No, the problem was if you were in the sun. So the very last day, which I'll tell you about later, man, that wristband faded fast. Like the minute you were in the sun, that color was going away. But man, that was a very enjoyable rip that wristband off on Sunday evening. Like
I have phantom wristband.
Yeah.
Like I could feel it on Monday. Like I felt like I still had it on.
I had a tan line where it was on Monday.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know how Lane's Thursday went, but I basically, after those 2 panels, my only priority then was getting into He-Man. Well, Ryan came into town at that point. Ryan was like, "You want to do lunch?" And I was like, "No, I got to go into Hall H line." And I went into Hall H line. It was like non-existent. I was like, I was actually asking the guard. I'm like, yeah, "I'm really hungry. If I go get food now, am I going to be able to get in this like 4:00 panel or 3:00, whatever it was, 3:00 panel?" He goes, "Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem." So I was like, "All right, Ryan, you're on. Let's get food."
Yeah, yep. It's cool. It was called Werewolf, right? Just some cool burger bar.
No, it was fun. It was fun. It was a good place. After we ate, I went straight back to the Hall H line, and it was like the first time in like, I don't know, 15, 20 years where 20 minutes later I was in Hall H.
Well, that's what we were saying earlier. Like, yeah, like except for Saturday, I think you could kind of just walk in.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this year's con felt kind of like the pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe, the pre-Twilight years of con, like, or Comic-Con cons. Like, less things happening, less people, less everything, but slightly more enjoyable. So that's kind of how I felt about the con in general this year. Yeah.
Lane, did you end up doing any panels on Thursday or Friday or anything?
Nope. I hardly ever do.
All shopping.
I hardly ever do panels.
Yeah,
pretty much just shopping. I think, what did I do Thursday? Thursday I went straight to Boom to try and make sure I got everything. Yeah. And that was the day I was messaging you guys how halfway through the line, they lost internet, had to reboot their server. And then they had this other, and it was really weird where like they had one cashier that was fast and quick, and then the other was like a volunteer. I think he's like the head of the company. He couldn't figure out how to do half the stuff. And of course, they stuck him on our line. So our line went really slow. And once again, when I got up there, your book, the Grimm book, sold out about 7 people ahead of me.
Sure.
But I was able to get pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
I think mostly after that, I just ran back to meet Rose Besh because she finally showed up. Got on her commission list. Got a bunch of autographs, and then I think I hit up Campbell at that point too for autographs. Then I went to lunch, went back to the hotel, and then came back in the evening for Snyder and Capullo at Comixology. Yeah. And there was someone else I hit up. I can't remember offhand right now, but yeah, it was mostly just autograph hunting. And I think on Wednesday I bought the Frank Cho books.
His sketchbooks.
The new Outrage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of artists will do a yearly sketchbook where they take all the people that they do all the sketches they've done through the year for a bunch of different people, and they add it in, and they have their whole oh cool, we lost Toby again, wonderful. They take all the sketches they do and they do like a con sketchbook that you can buy. Yeah, those tend to go be popular and sell out fast because they're self-made. They're very limited. They're not like printed millions.
Well, these are a little different. The Outrage books are all of the Frank Cho sketch.
It's like sketch cover.
But the sketch covers that are all like with the jokes about like the wheat cakes.
Right.
All of those.
Right. Yeah. They're very popular. Yeah. That's like all his Instagram. It's funny because there's like some of the events like Kevin did that were ticketed that you had to win. You had to go in like the raffle of like, hey, we just got to see, what people get into. There was ones you could just walk up to. I know, like I got Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo to sign on Saturday, and that was like you had to go there in the morning, get a ticket, get in line. You know, like it was like kind of a whole. It wasn't a hassle. It's just you just had to know. You couldn't just walk up. So yeah, there's a lot of con is you have to know the system. It's a little. It could be a little hit or miss. It's a little bit of trial and error because things can change day to day. Panels can get canceled. Signings can get moved around. So like you got to kind of be on top of it. You know, like
you have to do your research.
Yeah, I know. Like you can't just walk up and be like, well, I guess not. That's it. Okay. Like, no, if you want it, you're going to like, all right, let's try it again the next day. Let's see if we can figure this out. Let's move around. Let's see if we can find out when this panel is and when we're going to come in. So yeah, it could be hard. But worth it if that's what you're looking for. Like, so I was on Friday, Tom King and Mitch Gerrits had to cancel one of their signings. So I was like, okay, good. That's fine because I can just come back Saturday. I know their signing schedule on Saturday. So, it's like, brought the book, didn't matter. I was able to come back the next day and do it. But like, Snyder had to cancel his last signing schedule on Sunday. If that was the one you were going for, stuff happens, right? It's people are being pulled in 50 different directions. You think con's busy for you as a consumer. The creators, they're not just there doing panels and signings and autographs and stuff like that and meeting friends and doing all the stuff. They're also working, right? They are having meetings with, DC and Marvel and Image, right? I mean, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on. So it is a 4 or 5 days of just nonstop for the comic people. It's a lot.
Yep. Yeah, I think Snyder had like 5 signings a day, something like that. It was ridiculous.
He had so many. Like, I don't know how that dude's alive.
Man, he looked worn out when we saw him at the panel on Friday.
Yeah. It's man, that's hard. I was dying. Like, I'd be the same way. Like, these guys do twice as much, and I barely could stand. Like, I don't know how the hell they did it. Any other Friday highlights? Friday
we had the Eisners.
Friday night was the Eisners. Yeah, before we get to that,
I had Thursday highlights because I was at the He-Man panel that had Dolph Lundgren.
Oh yeah, yes. That's right.
It had the Smith. It had
Kevin Smith.
Yeah, Kevin Smith. And the surprise guest was Shatner, who like stumbled into the panel. It was actually pretty funny. Like halfway through the panel, someone just started yelling, and I was like, and Shatner just kind of showed up. It was actually kind of hilarious. So,
So what was he there for? What was he doing?
He's in the sequel of Revelations.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he's going to be.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
In fact, when Kevin was trying to give Shatner notes when he was recording, they didn't reveal what character he's playing. And Kevin said something like, in a matter of like, well, Shatner just kind of stopped me and said, "Kevin, stop. In about a couple seconds, you will have the honor of directing me. But right now, I don't want to just lay this line." And it was really funny because I don't think Shatner got the joke. He was like, "No, I didn't really say it that way. I was meaning like I just want to get another ticket and stuff." It was actually kind of funny.
Yeah, those. It was cool that like people could just kind of go into Hall H. It's so unusual.
Yeah. It was kind of funny though. The girl and Pixel Dan were like a lot more emotional about He-Man's 40th than like I felt like a little bad for Dolph because he was just kind of there going. I think he answered like 2 questions and then he got to hold out the sword at the very end. And, I have the power, and that's how they kind of closed off the panel.
Yeah.
But for a 40th celebration, I was like, man, you bring Dolph out. You only ask like 2 questions. I actually kind of felt bad for the guy. Like, it's like, I don't know. It was fun, but I was like, I think like, it was like, I think it was Tiffany Smith and Pixel Dan. They were like a lot more emotional about, He-Man's 40th because they both kind of grew up with the property, like since they were like, little bitty kids, and here was Dolph going, yeah, this is this part I got, and it's still around, so I'm happy about it, but he actually was honest about it. He goes, back then he was questioning, if he did the right thing by taking his role, right? So,
well, it was a total bomb, but it's a cult hit now, you know. So yeah. It's it's how so many of those movies are. It's they become these things down the road.
I mean, it was like maybe not a good He-Man movie, but I fucking love it. Anyways, it was cool. It was cool for them to do a 40th He-Man panel. I thought it was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, went to the Eisners that night, so that was fun. So we're in the we had the whole loser crew hanging out. That was great. Two-time loser me here, one-time loser Kevin. I think 4-time loser Eaton at Cape and Cowell, and Timmy is like 5 times. Right for the Spirit Award for retailer.
Am I the ultimate loser in this? As I never even got nominated, or I'm the winner in this?
You're the winner. You're the winner.
You're the actual winner. Yeah.
I get to vote in the Eisners, so
yeah. So I don't know what happened. I filled out the paperwork, I sent it in, and never got my stuff back. So I don't know what that was all about.
I voted in for the Eisners for the past few years. Like,
Lord have mercy. Brock is he's judging the Eisners, or wait, he gets the vote.
Yeah,
anyone in the industry can. Yeah, if you work at a comic store or
you're an educator,
press. Yeah. There's a ton of people.
Yeah. Well, that was a long night.
I feel like it was long.
Maybe it was just us.
It was longer than
Ryan was complaining. He's like, it was 5 hours.
It was maybe
it was
4 something.
Wait, hold on. Is that pizza night? That's the pizza.
Yes,
that's pizza night. Yeah.
We'll get to that, but there were some surprise guests presenting on that Eisner stage.
Yeah. Pretty early on, they're like, and now here are 2 pretty famous
legends,
people, and maybe you've heard about them.
Yeah.
Two legends, Neil Gaiman and Frank Miller, and I'm like, cool, nice. I'm okay with this. Like, look, we're not at the front, but they have all the people that are actually nominated are like in the front area, like at the tables. We were in like the reserved front. Like,
well, we didn't get nominated this year, so you weren't in that area again.
Yeah, well, I was because of Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was because of Kevin. Yeah, because Kevin worked for journalism, right? So you're the people that actually run the site were at the table.
For each nominee, you get 2 tickets to sit at the dinner table where there's dinner service. So,
oh wait, I could have gotten food.
You probably could have walked up there.
It didn't seem like they were stopping people.
Didn't. Wait, how were you so hungry if you could gotten dinner?
No, we didn't do it.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
No, did not. Okay,
we were not at the tables. We were in the seated area, but we were in the
there's this
front row of the seated.
For those
area.
who haven't seen it, it's a stage where, like the Oscars or any award ceremony. Then there's a bunch of tables where you eat the dinners and where the big name nominees are. Then there's about
30 tables of 10 people each or something.
Then there's about a 10-foot gap. And then there's the reserve seats, which are rows of chairs. That's where we were sitting. And then there's a rope separator. And then there's the fans can come in and sit in the way back of the room.
That's where I was. That was where I was for like a good amount of time.
Yeah, so we were in the nominated, but not finalist.
Nominated, but not famous.
Yeah.
So you're in that special VIP section like last year.
Yeah,
it was the same spot. Yeah,
Kevin, I want you to know
as close as possible to the bar.
Well, thanks, Brock. I appreciate the support. But it went long enough that because last time they didn't hand out the free drinks. This time, the people who sat at the tables got free drinks.
No. Last time we got free drinks because they felt bad for Ryan. That's the only.
I don't know. It seemed like they were just giving those to everyone that was there.
No.
Okay.
He came and walked over and apologized, and then he handed you the free drinks.
I don't know.
Well, anyway,
I don't know.
No,
it was 2019.
We're going back to
a long time ago.
We're going back to 2019. The story for anyone that doesn't remember was I was told that we were a finalist. We were not a finalist. There was some communication error. We thought we were in the. I didn't expect to win, but I thought we were in the final group for the retailer award. We were not.
What we got to campaign for you to be a finalist for next year.
No, it's fine. And so we ended up going in. They were like trying to figure out what happened, and we were wandering around, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Actually, no, you're over here." I don't know. I don't think they gave us those for anything special. I think they were giving them to everyone.
I think they were consolation prize for making us move from the nice tables to the crappy seats.
I don't know. Either way, it's fine. Either way,
we didn't really get them this year, but the night went long enough that Timmy was compelled to go to the bar and pay what I would call exorbitant price at that cash bar. It's not even an open bar; it's a cash bar. That's how long the night went.
Yeah. It felt like it really went on a long time. Some good stuff won. Yes. A monster.
Phil Jimenez won.
Barry Windsor Smith.
Barry Windsor Smith. Sorry, I'm just totally blanking. Yeah, Wonder Woman Historia. Phil Jimenez won for a bunch of that. I talked to Chris Conroy, who's the editor. We've talked a couple times. He's been at the shop because he's the editor on that. Yeah, super excited. People listen to the podcast. Remember we talked about that last year. One of my favorite books from last year.
It'll be one of my favorite books this year. Because it'll finish this year.
Yeah, the new issues.
Well, here's my new rule when I take over the Eisners. I told these guys that night. Here's my new rule. Anybody who wins gets to give one speech. If your comic wins multiple awards and you come up, you get one speech. So you better use it when you get up first because you don't know if you're going to win again. The next time you come up, whether it's one more time, two more times, three more times, all you say is, thank you again, good night. One speech. Because we had to hear multiple speeches, and it just makes the whole thing I want everybody to be acknowledged and have their moment in the sun, but I just mean you don't really need to hear multiple speeches by the same person on the same project.
Yeah. When you've won the fourth or fifth time in a row, like how much more do you have to say, right?
And when it's the third or fourth time in a row and that person pulls out a piece of paper, you just die a little bit inside. Or at least I did.
So the others were fun. Yeah, it's funny. I like that stuff. I kind of award shows are kind of stupid. But when you're there, bless you. But when you're there, it's actually, I don't know. I like it. I like seeing the nominees and thinking about it's just kind of down by 30-40% of time, and I think it would be solid. So yeah, like a tight 2-hour award show. Great. 2:30, great. 4 and change. It's a little.
You're completely missing.
It's only hard because you were not a finalist, Ryan.
It's not about the time. It's about giving more free booze so you don't think.
So you don't realize it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys are not sharing the best part about the Eisners, though.
What is that?
Well, Mr. Sir Kevin Eastman won an award. I think
the
Hall of Fame, right?
Yep.
And the next part is a little sad because this gentleman went up and was speaking about all the people we lost, and he was, it was a serious topic. I mean,
that was tough.
Yeah,
I don't mean like tough to sit through, like bad, like.
Yeah,
it was
a heavy subject, and he was talking about,
that was hard to make it through. Yeah. That was emotional. Yeah.
And he was falling out, he was crying, and he went on, and a hard subject. But at the very end, he kind of stopped sniffing, and just as he was going to walk away, he came back and he was like, "Wait, did Kevin Eastman win an award?"
It was this very It's just this very surreal moment. Out of the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Who said this?
Yeah, that was.
Who was that? I can't remember who that was now.
Yeah, it was. I was like, very, very serious, very hard subject, very emotional, right? Yeah. And he was crying. Everybody's crying, and then right at the end, he goes, "Hold on, did Kevin Eastman win an award?" And the crowd goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, that's a good dude." And then he just walked out.
Like he was up there a long time because he couldn't speak.
Yeah, no, he was crying. He was falling out. Yeah.
So. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. We sort of comic celebrity watched for a couple of minutes. I've talked to a few people. Nothing too major. And then it was on to 1 a.m. pizza. That's the con sketch. That's the best con life.
I think it was like
wander around the gas lamp in the middle of the night with all the crazies trying to find something to eat.
Well, first of all, this is where I have to announce. This is where I found out that my normal spot that I've gone to for like 20 years is no longer in existence.
That place was the best,
San
man.
Diego pizza spot is no longer in existence. Yeah. I am very, very sad. It's like an end of an era. So we had to settle for some other pizza.
Wait, wasn't that the night before?
Well, no, I found it that night because I looked it up.
It was the night before.
It was at the Eisner's.
No, because I didn't go to the Eisner's. I went to Funko Fun Days. I was not there with you guys.
Funko Fun Day was like the night after.
No, yeah. That's Friday.
What day are we on? Doesn't matter. My favorite
pizza on Friday night
is gone. That's the point of the story. I'm
half expecting Toby to jump a wall.
Yeah,
you get an elevator ride this year, Brock, not a wall jump.
Oh yeah,
that was a fence. A fence.
Oh, it was a fence.
Yeah, at WonderCon.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, like Ryan at the award show at the Eisner's, like looks over to me. He was like, "Where's the closest pizza place?" And I'm like, "Well, it's probably like Basic Pizza, which is right across the bridge." And he goes, "All right." And he mumbles with the other guys. He goes, "All right, that's what we're doing." I'm like, "All right, cool." So after the award show, and I think you guys were still doing some mingling, but at some point the hunger set in. And you're like, "Oh, we gotta eat, so we have to eat like right now, or we're gonna die." So we walk across the bridge. We get to Basic Pizza. We walk in, and I think, Higgins, you looked it up on when they closed, right? They were like closing at 2 or something?
Yeah, it's at 2 a.m.
Yeah, and so we roll up, and they're like closing the door in front of us and going, "Yeah, we're done." It's like midnight or 1 or something like that. We're like, we're done. Like, and at that point, we're like, okay, backup plan. So I was like, well, there's the 24-hour, subway down the other side, or we go to the pizza place on 5th Street. And we end up going to 5th Street Pizza, and I think that's when Timmy and me split like a giant-ass pizza, and then he had to leave. And Kevin, you were not impressed with the pizza at all.
Well, because mine was like room temperature with hard cheese. And so all of you guys who got fresh slices out of the oven, I hope you enjoyed it, but mine was like something you'd be served in a middle school cafeteria.
Oh no!
Sounds like your Suicide Squad experience.
Well, no. Well, I feel bad for Kevin because we went to Subway, and then I think you stayed there, and then you reappeared at the pizza place just to be disappointed, and I'm sorry about that. And the next thing we know is like Kevin disappeared again
and went back to Subway. Went back to Subway. Yeah, I couldn't have that slice of pizza be my last meal of the night. I had to have something more than that.
But then we went back. To the Indigo.
Yes, but because Ryan got a text.
And it's Comic-Con, so when you get a text at 1 o'clock in the morning that says, "Hey, we're all going back to the bar," you got to go back to the bar. So we walked back to the bar.
And the irony, you know what? The irony of all this is,
we were literally right there.
If you had asked me before we went to San Diego, what is something that would be different about this year than any other year? I would have said there is a 0% chance you will see me in the Hilton crowded packed bar this year of all years. That is not an activity I'm doing this year. I can say that safely. 0% chance. And then
you get the
where am I going? But the goddamn Hilton bar, which is of course packed to the rafters like a normal year. You can't even move in that place. Because everyone goes there. It's either that bar or the Marriott on the other side.
Yep. So, got to make an appearance, say hello to a few people. That's always super fun. And, kind of just pop around. And, it's just life at Comic-Con, It's... Yeah, it's
it was like kind of chill time though. I enjoyed being on the balcony and that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, we closed the place out, and then I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's time to go. So, man, I've never taken so many Ubers in my life. Like, I really, honestly, next year, I got to try to get the hotel on time because I know I can get tickets, so I just have to get the close hotel because I can't. I saved some money and spent them all on Ubers going back and forth to my hotel. So, like, it's just a wash. I didn't do anything. So,
Toby, should we share the elevator?
Well, isn't that the next night?
No, that was Eisner night. That's on the way to the bridge. Go back to the Hilton.
Oh, absolutely share the elevator. So first of all, these two lazy fucks, as in Higgins and Kevin, go, we don't want to do the fucking stairs because we're old people, and our knees hurt and our feet hurt.
Whoa. I didn't say any of that. I just went to keep him company.
I just added some flavor, Kevin.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I put some salt on it. I'm sorry.
So there is this giant bridge that connects one of the hotels. It goes over the not the highway, but it's over like the giant road, the multi-lane road, both directions.
It's a people mover, just like in Vegas.
Yeah,
like,
very big. Right, very big, very big bridge.
Really
it takes
like
you from the hotel
because lit up really cool. I actually like the design and everything. I really
and going up and down on the sides. If you come from the hotel, you walk straight onto the bridge, no problem. You go down the stairs, no problem. Coming back up, it's like 2 flights of stairs. And 2 flights of stairs at 1:30 in the morning when you've been walking around for 18 hours. And you're full of 10:40 p.m. pizza. Like, I'm just like, dude, I don't want to go up these stairs. I'm so tired. I'm going to take this elevator.
And at this point, I'm like, fuck these motherfuckers. I'm gonna run up the stairs and wait up there for them. So
I went. As a good team player, I went with Ryan to the elevator.
So I pressed the button on the elevator. The doors open. It is pitch black inside this elevator. This is a little elevator that takes you to the top, right? For like handicapped people, elderly people, lazy people.
It's an elevator for you.
So I'm like, well, I guess we're doing this. This all takes place within the course of 8 seconds. Okay, just keep that in mind.
What are you, riding a fucking bull?
We step into the elevator.
Well...
Kevin steps into the elevator. Or no, I step into the elevator, I turn around. There's like an up button and a down button. There's 2 buttons.
Why is there a down? Okay, yeah.
And I am just like, the wave of urine it's like visible.
I had an N95 in my hand and I put it on for this elevator ride, even though it was just me and Ryan. It was like somebody had just pissed in there and stepped out, and then we walked in.
I'm like Dracula. I got my arm over my face, just like, this is going to end quickly, right? Hit the button. Doors closed. There is no light in this elevator.
The coffin. Dracula's a good comparison.
It is pitch fucking black. And we just see like the little shadow of the outside coming through the little tiny... super like, you know, like windows when they get like like fogged up, right? Like permanently fogged. And like you could just sort of see like the kind of something passing by the window. We think we're going up, we're not quite sure where we're going. Because you can't tell,
there's no sense of movement.
And this elevator feels like it should have taken a few seconds. And it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah, because you're going up 2 flights of stairs, in essence.
But it feels like...
It's a West Coast elevator.
It feels like an hour. It feels like we were in this thing for an hour. And the doors open, and Toby's there, Kevin's friend Emily was there, and we pop out, and we're just like eyes just... bugged out of our head.
Trauma experience.
And they're just standing there like, what the hell's taking these guys so long?
Quick question. Did either of you have your phone on you?
Yes.
No, sure, yeah.
Turn the flashlight on and maybe look for human feces in the corner.
It was both so fast, it also took forever.
Yeah, that whole experience was probably 20 seconds all in.
I mean, the entire thing from hitting the button, walking in, turning around, realizing it reeked of urine, hitting the button, going up and exiting, maybe 20 seconds. Felt like an hour. Because
there was a moment when those doors shut, we were like, oh, fuck.
What happens now?
It's pitch black, and it smells like piss. It doesn't seem like we're moving.
Yeah, like, you know when you hit a button on an elevator and it goes? I hit the button. And it didn't go.
And we're looking at each other as best we can in the dark.
Like, there was like 2 heartbeats before it went. And I'm just like, again, it felt like a million years passed that we didn't move. It was 2 seconds, but it felt like forever because you're supposed to hit the button and it's supposed to go. It didn't. So, yeah, that was the weirdest 20 seconds of comics. Comic-Con.
It probably sounds like nothing for someone who wasn't there to hear the story, but the time dilation in there is like we went through a wormhole or something. It was like it's like we were in there an eternity. Like I felt like I aged a year in the time we went in and stepped out.
So you're telling me that elevator's like embodied COVID.
We don't know. It was just like we walked out just traumatized, and we kind of looked at each other like,
"Did you guys burn your clothes that you were wearing that night?"
I was trying to make fun of them upstairs while they got out, and they were like, "Ah, no, this has happened. You won't believe me." It's like they went to a completely different adventure that we were not part of.
It was really weird, man. It was really weird.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, they don't even pay for an escape room or like going to like a haunted house. Just go to this fucking elevator at the bridge at the Hilton at Comic-Con. You'll get your full experience. Go at 2 a.m. Yeah, it was wild. Yeah.
Did you check for a third person in the elevator?
I thought like
turn on your flashlight. Something.
Fucking Babadook was going to come running out after us or something. Like, I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was weird. It was very strange. Yeah. So I should say, Toby, you a couple times attempted to get into the Severance experience thing and never did. So we'll touch on that. I want to hear about that on Sunday. But Saturday is Marvel panel day and DC panel day. So it was effing packed outside, inside. I'll skip to this only because it happened later in the day, but right around the time the Marvel panel had been kind of going for a little bit, but like they were just starting to bring out the celebrities. I had left because we were going to go. We went to the CBLDF, the auction. Oh my god, I'm thinking of how many more things we have to talk about and how long we've been recording. It's got like another hour of podcasting.
It's almost 11 o'clock. Do you need some pizza?
Yeah, I should. I left and I went out and I went down not one of like the main street, but kind of one of these like little side streets. But it's one of the ones that has like the road that goes like straight to the convention center. And as I'm standing there, all of a sudden, like, 30 giant black tinted window armored Escalades with security guards, and not like 30 in a row, but like, 5 in a row, 5 in a row, 5 in a row, and they all had the Disney and Warner Brother VIP badges and stuff. And I'm like, well, that's either the cast of Guardians coming or that's the cast of Guardians. They're going to go pick them up because they're part of the panel's almost over. That's like the entire cast of Black Panther. Like, it's like, that's who's coming in, right? Or they were going to pick them up. One of the two ways. So everyone was like there's a million people over by the Hard Rock because that's where Toby, you were saying that's where they house usually a lot of the celebrities. And there's security and there's paparazzi and it's all fenced off and it's a whole deal. But like on this other side street, all the cars are coming down, and I'm like, yeah, no, we know who's in those cars. So that was cool. That's just it's like, oh, okay. I mean, they got to get them there somehow. So I guess they do it over here. Yeah, that was deep. But Saturday was busy in the convention center. I don't remember what the hell I did Saturday.
Didn't you go to you went in to get to see Tom and Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, so I did some autographs. I got a couple things. I got a couple of the Friday. I got one of the Mitch Gerrard's G Clay's, one of the higher end art prints. It was one of the covers of Strange Adventure with Alana on the cover. Saturday, that was Friday. Saturday, me and Toby waited in line at Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. And Toby had apparently missed the 400 Nightwing prints by Bruno Redondo that were on sale up until that point. So he was like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
I just bought the entire movie. I was like, pack it all up.
And that was a cool experience because Tom Taylor was running late. So we sat there and talked to Bruno Redondo for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, we got to talk to Bruno for quite a while.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. Yeah, super, super nice guy.
Didn't you guys have...
He was telling us about his theories of how he approached the covers and why he did it the way he did it and so on. It was really cool to listen to all that.
Didn't you guys have movies on Saturday?
Yeah. We did that too. Yeah, we went to the Kevin Smith takeover of one of the restaurants there. So they have the, like in the Clerks movies, so Mubi, that's their like fake fast food chain. And that was pretty good. I mean, it's not like, my fear with that was that it was going to be, just shitty microwave food, but no, it's the regular food they serve there.
The funny thing is, when I opened the burger, I was like, that was my first thought. I'm like, man, this burger doesn't look good. But then I started eating. I'm like, no, actually, it's damn good.
No, it's right. Yeah, no, and I don't think like they don't just. Yeah, it's not just like crap they pull out of some random other place. Like, no, this is, I'm assuming, the food they serve there. They just do, they do it up a little different and they put it in different bags and stuff. And, but it's like the takeover, right? It's like the restaurant takeover. So, so that was cool. And they.
Well, it was cool until I found out that the Smith was serving the food the day before and the day after.
Oh, yeah, he was there a couple times.
Yeah, it was like the one time I was there, he wasn't there. I was a little bummed when I found out, but it was still cool. I was like, it's still a good experience. It was an early birthday lunch, and I was actually kind of glad we did it on Saturday because I was slightly occupied on Sunday as well.
Yeah.
I'll later.
I know I did. I think there's a panel I'm missing.
Bruce Campbell.
I just can't remember. But yeah, that was the DC panel. There's another one that I went to that I'm just not coming to me. What else did I go to?
The Wildstorm?
It was before Bruce.
The Wildstorm panel. Right.
The Wildstorm panel was awesome.
Yeah. So they had a Wildstorm 30th anniversary panel with Jim Lee, Jessica Campbell, John Nee, who was one of the editors, or who's one of the. Yeah, he was one of the editors.
He took over the office. He was like the CEO.
Yeah. Lane,
Alex Sinclair.
Alex Sinclair, right?
Scott Williams.
The anchor. Scott Williams, who's Jim's anchor.
And Scott Dunbier. Alex Sinclair is the colorist.
Colorist, right. And and Scott Williams is Jim's anchor. And then
Dunbier.
Scott Dunbier was the editor-in-chief and editor-in-chief, kind of ran a lot of that stuff. And then they had like a ton of other people in the audience that had worked at Wildstorm. Jim Lee's like entire family was there. They had like a huge group of people in the front.
A bunch of Wildstorm people were there just in the crowd. Just previous people that work for the company and other creators and stuff. And just talking about the history of Wildstorm and just all their shenanigans and dude, it was actually really cool to hear all that.
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff like you've kind of got to be there. It's just them telling stories. They're not announcing. My hope was, and I think everyone's hope was, they're going to announce some big thing. Wildstorms are going to come back. They're going to do something. It wasn't anything like that. They were just like buddies reminiscing about the past. And I love that type of stuff. It was super cool to hear them talk about it. Me and Toby, they raffled off original artwork, signed prints. Jim Lee did like the sketchbook.
We were close not once but numerous times on winning some.
The person two behind me won an original piece of art by
Wills Portacio.
By Wills Portacio. The person next to Toby won. He won the sketchbook.
Yeah, the 60 for 60 Jim Lee book
with the Swamp Thing.
Nice Swamp Thing inside,
by Jim Lee. Jim Lee
one number off of winning that.
And it was 2 the other way for the other thing. It's like, God damn it. Damn it.
Cool. I mean, it was super cool.
We were so close.
Yeah, and there was a Jessica Campbell Fairchild. I was like, I would have died if I got that one. I was like, holy shit, man, that shit was dope. But that was cool. That was really cool by them to do that.
Yeah, that was a super fun panel. And like these type of things, go to these panels. That simply doesn't fuck around. He gives away tons of shit when he does panels. It's ridiculous. There's I say good chance, but you have a chance of getting some pretty amazing stuff.
Just say you have a chance.
Yeah. Then they had the DC panel, so they was talking about a lot of the kids friendly stuff. Their kind of alternate reality, just all the different books they do. It was like DC comics are fun. So it was just all the different types of stuff that they do at DC, not the main continuity. So all the other stuff. And so they had already announced the book, obviously, a couple of weeks ago. But if you're going to pull someone out of the panel, you got to pull out Bruce Campbell himself. So we got a couple minutes of Bruce out there being just incredible. Being Bruce, gives no shits about anything. He had a really funny story. So he's writing a Sergeant Rock comic for DC. And he said, DC had approached him to do something. And he's like, I just don't like superheroes. He's like, I never read them. I don't really care about them. Superman, the Superman Batman fight should take 1 second. Superman would just eviscerate him and rip him in half and laser beam him from the other side of the country. Like, it's not a fight. Like, what are you guys even talking about? You're crazy. And everyone's kind of laughing. And he said he was kind of going through the list of all the characters. He can't, he said the last character in the list was Sergeant Rock, and he's like, wait, no, I read Sergeant Rock. He goes, he's like, I don't think he realized that was like a DC Comics thing. And he goes, no, this is much like Bruce Campbell in a lot of the roles he plays. This is a regular guy against, these outrageous forces, and he has no powers, he has no abilities, he has no special weapons. He's just a guy, and he's able to, kind of come out on top. He's like, oh, this is exactly the character I want to write. So he seemed super into it. Like, look, whatever, you don't like superheroes. That's cool. Whatever. That's neat. But it's really cool that he seemed to really like Sergeant Rock and actually kind of connect to the character. So that I hope it comes out in the work, because I'm super excited for that book. It looks really fun. And he's written a couple comics in the past. He's done some small things once or twice, just kind of working with other people. So, but he's going to kind of dip his toes into more fiction writing. So that was a lot of fun. He was really cool. He had a lot of fun. He's a funny guy. So very unfiltered.
We were trying to do a raffle thing with him where he had to do like a what's it called? Not a quiz, but
a quiz. Yeah.
And he was like totally like, why? Why do this?
They were trying to give away some stuff, and
he did not follow suit. I mean, he either didn't give a shit or just didn't get it.
I just don't think he understood. And they're like, here, you won. He's like, oh, thanks. And it was like some Joker figure. And he's like, yeah, great. And he's like, throws it on the floor or something like that. It was very funny. Bruce Campbell's amazing. I mean, I did some signings, some autograph stuff. Yeah. Got some, I think Saturday was, that's when I got the ticket for the Greg Capullo, Scott Snyder, and Lane, you'll probably know better than I, quicker than I can look it up. What's his inker? Capullo's inker? Galpian?
Galapian or Glapian, I think.
I know I've seen his name 1,000 times. I'd never.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah, he said he hasn't been to Comic-Con in a decade, so all three of them were signing. So I was like, oh, yeah, sure, that's cool. So I had my Death Metal hardcover signed, because I had my Metal hardcover signed in 2019, so it was perfect. So I was able to get the Death Metal hardcover signed by all three of them. I got to hang out with you, Lane, while we went over to Tom King, Mitch Garrett's, and hang out with them while they did not one but two Kite Man remark commissions. So of course, if you've seen Tom King's artwork that he posts of his stick figure drawings that are incredible.
Yeah, they're called "I'm Sorry" sketches.
Yeah, because he always writes. He signs his name and then says, "I'm sorry," because they're so bad. And then Mitch is here drawing this like awesome, Kite Man, like kind of bust, head and bust shot. So Yeah, for the funniest part of that was so Kite Man, what's his? It's
hell yeah,
Charles Brown, right? Is the character's name? The joke is that he's like a grown up Charlie Brown, right? That's sort of the joke of Kite Man. And so whenever Tom King does these, he always writes "Good grief." With the Kite Man figure, whenever anyone asks him to draw a Kite Man, he writes "Good grief" as sort of like the dialogue box. And so he starts to write "Good grief" and he completely misspells it. I don't know what he was trying to write, but he misspells grief and he's like GRET. Wait, he's like, wait, shit, how do you spell grief? I don't know how to spell this word. And so he's like, what else is this? Gretchen, good Gretchen. So he writes good Gretchen on this thing as like he's like, oh, that's gonna be Kite Man's new catchphrase, good Gretchen. So Lane's got the first appearance of Kite Man's hot new catchphrase. That'll be in the Kite Man cartoon, I'm sure, in a year. That was super cool. I'm so happy I got to tag along with you, Lane, because they spent some time on that.
Yep.
Tom was like, I'm not going to stop drawing if Mitch is still drawing. So he just kept adding to this piece and adding and adding and adding. And yeah, it was really funny. You got a bunch of stuff signed by them. And did you do other commissions too, or just those two?
No, the day before I got the same thing. I actually had another set from them. So I have another set of, so Mitch drew Big Barda, and Tom King asked, he asked me what I do, so I'm a game designer. So he was trying to incorporate games. So he drew a little thing of Catwoman and Batman on the side of a building where Batman's trying to play a video game. And then Catwoman basically says, "Oh, high score." And Batman's like, "God damn it." And, but at the time he was about to write that stuff in, but he's like, I'm just going to mess this up. And then Richard Starkings came by the booth. And
who's one of the most well-known, famous comic letterers in the industry.
Yeah. So Tom immediately just said, "Here, you're writing this," and handed it to Richard Starkings, and he had to letter it. And so I have signed by both, and it's lettered.
That is awesome. You told me that I haven't seen it yet, though. You have to.
Yeah, I'll send the pictures.
That is great.
Well, I appreciate you going, because you got me a print from Tom and Mitch. Which
I try to want to get something for the
know me by name now
for you guys. Well, yeah, I was like, yeah, no. I was like, I said, yeah, one of my employees, Brock, he's holding on the fort with me. I got to get him something. So they're like, oh yeah, we've seen him we've seen him talk on Twitter. So
was it signed to the shipping manager?
No, it's just two Brock, and I have a collection of two Brock signed by Tom King, and
yeah.
So I'm just like, woohoo, more.
Yeah. Yeah. The for me at least, everything else goes to the CBLDF auction, so you guys can talk about whatever guys you did Saturday.
Well,
whoever wants to jump in.
I had a really important panel to get to. While Ryan's most important property is Sandman, where he's scared of things going wrong and so on. My property in that department is Saint Seiya, because to me that was the anime I grew up with, next to Slam Dunk, but Saint Seiya more so than Slam Dunk even. But that was the show I grew up on. And, over the years, they had different reboots, different versions, and yada, 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 and kind of went, in different areas and stuff like that, which is cool. But, they announced they're going to do a movie, and I literally just found out about, not too long ago, because I was, looking up Mark Dacascos's IMDb, and I was like, what the fuck? He's on a Knights of the Zodiac movie. Is he doing a voice? And then I looked for, it was like, no, they're doing a live action movie. It's like, get the fuck out of here. This is not a movie, or this is not an anime, or a manga that you turn into a live action, because this is one of the harder ones, at least in my mind, you're going to do, right? And plus, the history of anime live action movies, they don't do very well. So when I found out that there's going to be a Knights of the Zodiac Saint Seiya panel, I'm like, I think I need to go to this. I need to find out. for myself, like what this is about. And right, it was in 6A, I think it was one of the bigger 6 rooms. Like, there's multiple different 6 rooms. This is one of the bigger 6 rooms. I went up there, and to my surprise, there was a line to get in. I was like, get the fuck out of here. All these people know about Knights of the Zodiac, Saint Seiya. Like, it is an international property. I mean, it was huge in France. It was huge in, Italy. South America really knows about it too. It wasn't really big here. It was obviously very, very huge in Asia. Up until Dragon Ball kind of took over and kind of just took over completely from it. But the room was packed. I was like, holy shit, dude, it's a full room for Saint Seiya. And I was like, I never thought I was going to see that, right? And they didn't show any footage of the thing, but I don't know. It seems like they really care. The filmmakers and the actors is going to be an international cast. The stunt director grew up on Saint Seiya, and so he really cares. So, I don't know what to think of it yet, but I'm really worried. Yet very curious. So,
I mean, that should be all anime movies, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. They're all working, like, half the crew is working on One Piece and Cape Side right now, right? So they weren't even there. So it's like a similar team or something, or an extended team that's doing the Saint Seiya movie in Budapest. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, like, they showed us the all the previous stunt stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it does feel Saint Seiya-ish, and the guy that picked to play Seiya feels like Seiya. So I was like, I don't know. Maybe I have hope. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm really worried at the same time.
Okay,
so we'll
Toby,
see.
I have to tell you, I know you're not on the Zoom, so I have to hold this up for Ryan to see to confirm for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So when I was at one of the press rooms on Saturday, either the producer or director of that movie came up and introduced himself, because we were there for something else. But him and his team were there promoting that. And he's like, my name's so-and-so. I flew in from Tokyo for this convention to do press, and we'd be honored if you would talk to us about this when you're done with whatever else you have to do. We'd be honored to talk about the project. We all believe in it, da-da-da-da-da. And I knew nothing about it. Nothing. So he handed me this.
Oh, you should have.
He handed me this canvas tote bag with the logo on it. And then when we were done with our interview on Saturday, we got the camera and went to look, and they had vanished. Him and his whole team were just disappeared, like they were never there. So
do you still have the tote
I still have the tote bag, but I don't know anything about the project or him.
I will tell you everything about this. You don't understand, Kevin. This is like my Sandman. I grew up on this stuff. I mean, I grew long hair because of this stuff. I wore red clothes because of this stuff. Like, this show was part of me for so long. Like, my pencil case has stickers all over this. Like, I mean, my original, like, besides the Transformer and He-Man toys, Saint Seiya were my toys. Like, I literally grew up on this show. Like, so this, when I went to the panel, I was like, the team came out and said thank you to the panel because they were worried nobody was going to show up. So, it was a surreal moment, actually. So, but yeah, it feels like they really do care, and they really do want to push the property. I think they're scared themselves, maybe a little bit. Like, and I don't blame them, because this is an insanely hard property to do live action on. Because Netflix has done like a CGI reboot, and it's a little bit lifeless because they cheapen out a little bit on the animation, and so the models are a bit the life isn't in there like it was in the original show. It's a show about 5 teenagers that are like reborn warriors to protect the goddess Athena, right? And they all, they all got these like cool armors based on their like zodiac signs and stuff like that. And dude. When I growing up, that was like one of the super violent cartoons. Like you kind of move on from like the kiddie cartoons, and you went into that, and they're like when they were fighting, they beat the shit out of each other. Like there was blood everywhere. They were ripping hearts out of it. Like it's Mortal Kombat before Mortal Kombat. It turned into like more of a girly show, like later in the later reincarnation of it, because they prettified all the little boys, and they made the armor super pretty and all of that stuff. But early on, though, man, like, the fights were like, when you grew up on normal cartoons and then you went over to Saint Seiya, you're like, whoa, what the hell is this? And you got really into it, and it's always, the stories were always like, if you're on the underdog, you can't give up. You have to, you have to muster up enough energy to beat your enemy and stuff like that. I was like, oh man, I ate it up as a kid. Like I loved it. And to this day, I still love it. I mean, the stories were maybe a little simple back then, but man, I love that show. And it's an international hit. I mean, it's well known internationally. Like big. I mean, it was like it came out slightly before Dragon Ball, and then when Dragon Ball hit, and when Dragon Ball found its strides, I mean, there was no looking back in Dragon Ball. I mean, everybody in the world knows Dragon Ball now, but before Dragon Ball, there was Saint Seiya.
Huh. Well, yeah. I wish you'd been there. I didn't know anything about it. That's just.
I would have loved being there. If I could have talked to this guy, I probably would have been on a plane with this dude going, sayonara, I got a new job because I'm going to work for these guys.
He was just hanging out. He came up to us and handed his business card.
Do you still have it?
I don't know if I ended up with it or the.
I'm gonna hit this guy up. Go, hey man, this is like I grew up like this would have been like The Rock coming over, going, do you want to come work for $7 Productions? Saint Seiya. I've been like, yeah, I probably would. See you guys later.
That's funny.
Anyways, a little this show, I shows a lot of promise. I'm still really worried, but it seems like they really care, and I guess that's all you can ask for these days. So, or hope for.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's a lot of bad live action anime. There's a
lot of bad. Yep.
I think it's all bad, really. It's
what, you didn't like the Fist of North Star Australian movie, man?
And not great ones. So
that was really bad. No, that was a joke. That was really bad too.
Yeah, we can move to the CBLDF auction unless anyone's got other Saturday stuff, because me and Kevin were there.
Well, I was almost there.
Yeah.
So I knew they were going to be there. I was at the Saint Seiya panel, and then it took me a while to get back to the hotel because I would either bird everything or walk everything. So it took me a while to get back to the hotel. And once I got there, that's the problem. See, Ryan, I've told you, you cannot stop. If I was at the hotel, I had to drop my shit off, put a new shirt on, clean up a little bit, and get the fuck out, right? The problem was I took my shoes off. Once you take your shoes off, I'm like, it's actually kind of nice just to sit down for a moment. Once you sit down for a moment, a half an hour passed by, I'm like, oh, I should probably charge my phone. And this entire time I'm like, I should probably get going. I gotta go see Ryan and Kevin at the auction and Timmy, right? And of course, right as I was getting out of the room, Lane shows up and Lane goes, oh, I got some extra food. I'm like, I'm actually damn hungry. I would like some food. It was like one thing after another. And before you know it, I was like, I'm pretty sure these guys are done at this point. So, I didn't sleep Wednesday night at all because I was working late for work. And then, I had to wake up at 4 a.m. anyways. So I just kind of pulled through. I think I slept like 2 hours the night before. So at this point, I was like, you know what? The smart thing to do, because I was going to wake up like at 5:30 the following day again, is probably to stay put and maybe go to bed. And this is also the day I achieved 24 hours out of 12 hours of stand goal time on my watch, which is impossible, but I achieved it. So I was like, I've achieved my goal. Ryan and Kevin are about to wrap up. I don't think they got enough energy to go to the bars again, but maybe I'm about to hear another story, which I missed out on. And so I decided to go to bed, which is a rarity.
Well, the story is that the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, which is a group of people that are lawyers and law people, and they defend comic book stores and comic book publishers in lawsuits and in helping them when needed, because although
legal expenses,
it's been mostly okay,
expenses can be pricey.
Yeah, it's been mostly okay. Recently, there has been quite a few problems with. We talked about genderqueer and Oni Press, so in recent podcasts. So there's obviously the CBLDF is the busiest they've been in decades, they said, because there's a lot of stuff out there that they're having to fight against. So they do these auctions where they have pieces of art and things that are made and donated, and people can bid on them. There's some that go online, some are silent bids, most of them are just but like it's an auction in there. And I guess the whoever normally hosts it just kind of very last minute wasn't able to do it, so they asked our friend Timmy to do it. Timmy's super super funny, super personable. You know,
he's more energetic than you.
You know, it's funny. I actually didn't put two and two together because I think you earlier in the afternoon you actually did tell me that, and I think I've forgotten about it at that point. But man, I actually kind of wish I could have seen that. So
yeah,
I actually for some reason thought you guys were just watching it, but when I realized afterwards that you guys were running this show,
he was running it. Well, he was.
But I saw pictures of Kevin holding up being a model, holding up the artwork. So I was like, that would have been funny as hell.
So we get there, and it's basically like everything is falling apart. The machine that connects to the TV to show all the stuff wasn't working. So they're like, we have to figure something out. They were late getting everything set up. I mean, they're not really. This isn't like the CBLDF messing up. It's just a series of unfortunate events all happened at once, and they were like trying to scrambling to figure this stuff out. And, you know, they really didn't give Timmy a lot of direction. So, you know, it's hard. Like, I've never been in like an auction. This is like people with paddles and the whole deal, right? And like it was light and people understood, but people were spending there were a couple of people spending some serious cash. And so he kind of was like, this is. It took a bit for him to get into the groove of it, let's just say. But I think everyone was patient, everyone understood, and I think by the end he really had it. It's tough because you got to remember numbers, remember who's where, and usually if you see an auction, right? If you see like professional auction, it's a room of people that's vertical, like straight down. So the auctioneer can see everyone. This was in a room that was vertical, left to right. So he's sitting here having to look like he should have been at the end of the auction, the end looking at the tables. He was having to look 180 degrees left and right to see the paddles. That's hard. Like I think it was just set up improperly. They should have moved the table to the thing to the other end and flip-flop where like the food was, because he would have had a much better view of being able to see these paddles. It was very difficult. So he gets Kevin to help out. And again, they're just like, just walk the Kevin was like standing on the stage, like kind of showing the pages. And then they're like, well, we actually got someone that's going to take and like kind of wander the pages around. But the problem with that is you end up, so if you're on the stage, like what Kevin was doing, everyone can see it, but you're a little further away. So the person comes up, they start walking the pages around, but then you're like, the people at the far end don't see it for multiple bids, so they really don't know what they're bidding on. So it's just like, I feel really bad for everyone involved. It just wasn't a great system.
Well, the problem with an art auction like that is if you can't display it on a large screen where everyone sees it at the same time, and even like me holding it or her holding it and walking it like up to people's faces is a really awkward method. You can't study it. You get a glimpse for a couple of seconds. Once the tech didn't work, and that happens, God, that's happened to all of us probably. Mm-hmm. My opinion is you make the whole thing a silent auction and you lay the pages out and you put a bidding form. And just because you could walk around and look at the artwork, but then an hour and a half later, when you're trying to bid on something, maybe you don't remember, so it was tough. But I think all things considered, I think it ended up well. I actually kind of got into it. It was pretty fun. You're rooting on people as the bids start to come in and they're sort of fighting against each other. There was a couple points that were a little awkward. I know, Kevin, you guys took off a little early. There was a couple that people were kind of hoping would go higher that didn't, and it's just who's in the room at the time, right? I know, Kevin, you had said that there was that Rose Besh piece that they got a steal on. Well, Lane, how much is a Rose Besh commission cover at a con?
Well, this was like an 8.5 by 11.
Yeah, but I'm just like piece, going for a comparable piece.
Yeah. She does these things called pink sketch covers. So she just draws on sketch covers.
Okay.
Right now it's 1,500.
Okay, so this thing it was a Scarlet Witch drawing, 9 by 12, maybe 8.5 by 11, something like that.
Yeah, I think it seemed like 8.5 by 11.
So the opening bid price on that was $800, and nobody bid. And so Timmy kept dropping it, and it finally sold at $500. And so that's kind of how that auction went. Is it was a mix of serious art fans and like kind of casual random people. And if they weren't familiar with it, and Rose Besch is not that familiar of a name to a lot of like longer time art collectors, nobody bid because nobody knows who it is. Same thing with that Spectators page, the Substack series.
Brian Gavon book,
Someone got a deal on that because nobody was bidding. And so if no one bid, they kept lowering the price until they got a bid.
Yeah, a person from the audience literally went up and said, I shouldn't be doing this because I want to win this page, but I don't think this is fair because people don't know what this page is. And this isn't Timmy's fault.
No, right.
They
didn't give him a cheat.
They gave him
nothing.
No, they didn't
I wrote him a description of that page on a napkin from the bar and handed it to him to read up on stage.
But there were some. I mean, there was a cover of Walking Dead Deluxe, like the new series. There was a couple pieces that went pretty good. Got into the thousands, multiple thousands of dollars. There was one cover that went like for $3 or $4 grand, or $4 or $5 grand. What was it? I can't remember. It was earlier in the night. I don't know if you remember, Kevin, but there were a couple pieces that went pretty big.
Hold on. Yeah, I was going to set up this piece. Because let's be honest here, Ryan Higgins. The only reason why you really went, besides, your friend Timmy, running the show over there, was because, you were going to bid on this piece. That's very special.
Well,
you're going to sell a store. You're going to auction off auction off your store to the highest bidder because he needed some cash to get this one piece.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Earlier in the day, Jim Lee announced at the panel that he had drawn a Sandman, like a full page, not like a comic page, but like, again, like an 8.5 by 11, right? A Sandman piece, fully painted. And then Neil Gaiman wrote a poem on it, right? So this was Jim Lee and Neil Gaiman doing a piece of artwork together, right? He drew it at the Eisners. Gaiman wrote it at the Eisners the night prior. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I need to see this thing, right? So, like, I mean, I have pictures of it. I posted online, like, even after the auction ended, I got, hold it and take pictures with it and stuff. It was just, I mean, it's just sitting on the table. Like, you can just walk up and look at it, right? So they started it, I want to say like $5,000. And these pieces that Jim Lee did for the books, the book, it's called BINC, BINC. I'm just blanking on what it stands for. It's a group. It's like a nonprofit that helps out bookstores and comic book stores during troubled times, and it became very popular during the pandemic because obviously everyone had to close. So Jim Lee did these 60 pieces of artwork to benefit BINC, and they ended up going for. I mean, Kevin, you were saying somewhere for like 6,000 or 8,000, but some of them, but a lot of them were going like 15, 20, 25 grand, right? So they were some big pieces.
Remember, that was the thing where the person who bids gets to choose the next character. And so you got a lot of, let's call them less popular characters in that pandemic round.
Yeah.
So those were the ones that were going under 10.
But then he would do like that Brainiac piece, and I think that's one of the best ones he did. If you look up this Jim Lee, it's called 60 for 60, and look up Brainiac, it's fucking incredible, right? It's one of the coolest pieces of art I've ever seen Jim Lee do. So it was neat. So when I'm looking at this page, I'm like,
real quick. Sorry, I looked it up. His 60 for 60 raised like $800,000.
Yeah,
total. So between those 60 sketches, he raised $800,000. So almost $1 million was raised.
It was like close to $1 million with these sketches. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, that's like a $20,000 piece. It's got an original Neil Gaiman poem on it with this. Like, this is incredible. And so they start the auction at like $5 grand or something like that. And I'm like, okay, see where this goes. It was like $5 grand. 52, 54. Well, it's like 52, 54. They're walking it around and it just stops. And this isn't one of those auctions where it's like, let's go play sold. Next auction. No, I mean, it's not fast. There's a lot of time. They're giving people time to look at the piece. There's a lot of kind of hyping the thing up. It takes a while. And this was the big piece. This was the end piece of the night. So it was giving people time to look at it. And no one was bidding. Like, sure, you want to kind of wait. You want to see what's going on. But, like, nothing was happening. And I'm like, Timmy... And I just yell, like, from the middle of the room. I'm like, if no one else is bidding on this, I'm going to go register and bid on this because this thing's worth a fortune. And if no one's buying this thing, I'm like, if the price is $5,500, here's my credit card. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's like, are you really going to do it? I said, if no one else is going to bid, I will go register right now and take this. And then people started to bid. And I'm like, okay. You were like, they realized that I was serious. And so people are like, all right, let's start actually doing this. Right. Cause I was like flabbergasted. I couldn't stop myself. I was like, I'll do it right now. Like, just sure, whatever. I'll figure this out later. There's no way this cannot sell for like $5,500. It's worth a fortune. It's fucking free money. I could just turn around and sell it that night on eBay and I'd double my money, right? Like, it's just not even a question. So hopefully I feel I caused them to start getting some bids out there again. So I ended up going for $10,000, which is great. They were down to the wire. A guy had it at like 9,800 or 9,500 or 9,600 or something like that. And it was just sitting there, and people were like, well, okay, can we, anyone at 10, going once, going twice. And the guy was like, $10,000. And the guy, just, you could see him melt. He was like, oh, like he wanted it so bad, but he couldn't.
So you're saying his dreams were shattered?
It was, yeah. he couldn't do 10. And then the guy was just, you could tell he was devastated. He was like, he was at his limit and he just couldn't go any higher. And his buddies were like kind of getting him to like, like, it's okay. You can do it. But we'll got it. We got it. Don't worry. We'll get this paid. And then and then the guy just came at the end and was like, I'll do 10. And that was it. So, it was pretty fun, especially once he got in the groove. I was trying to help him. Like, I was like giving him the sign, like over there, like there's a guy behind you. Cause he can't see these guys. I didn't like the way that was set up. I feel like they needed to change that a little bit. But yeah, I think he did a good job, all things considered, at the end of the day. And it was super fun. It was really cool to be able to see this artwork up front, up close, just real neat stuff, super, super detailed work. And
I'll be honest, Ryan Higgins, if you were ever to pay a crazy amount for art, that would have been it, wouldn't it be?
I mean, that was it, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah, if I was gonna drop serious,
if you ever to do it, like a Neil Gaiman / Jim Lee piece would have been it, right?
That's the piece. Yeah. Even like if it sat at like 6, 7, I probably still would have done it. Again, that thing, I could have just turned around and sold it immediately if that was the issue. I mean, I would have figured it out one way.
Because you're a real fan. You were like, you actually would have put it on the wall.
But the thing is worth way more. I think it's worth more than 10. I think even the guy that got it for 10, I think if he's the type of person that wants to just flip it, I don't see why he couldn't get more than that. But yeah, no, it was cool. It was very, very neat to be a small part of that and get to actually be there when it ended and get to take some pictures with it and everything.
Yeah, Ryan needs something to hang on the wall.
I think Kevin's.
We'll see the pictures afterwards.
Think Kevin's gonna finally go. Yep, Kevin is gone. So I know it's been a long night for Kevin. So he is done. I know Sunday was pretty mellow for Kevin. Sunday was mellow for all of us. Except for Toby. I know, Lane, you weren't feeling good kind of at the end there. You sort of took a little time off. So you're doing okay now?
Yeah. I was just ankle was sore and then my stomach was just going up and down from like eating at all weird hours and just just being like exhausted all week. So I just said, forget it. I got to drive all the way back. So I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah, I just did like a couple panels. I did the Scott Snyder panel on Sunday where he had the artists that work with him on the that I talked about earlier. That I worked with him on his books. I just kind of meandered around. I really didn't do anything Sunday. So that's the end of my con, right? That's the end of my con. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff we can, if we got any kind of last comments, except for Toby, because now he has kept this from me. I need the story. Toby, you waited in line. You waited in the standby line for the Severance offsite experience. Yeah. There will be no spoilers for the show Severance on this podcast. However, if you have not watched it, I recommend it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You need to know a very little bit about it. Well, you need to know a very little bit about it to understand what Toby's going to talk about here. So the premise of the show, and this is all in the first couple of minutes of the show, so it's not like this is not a spoiler. The premise of the show is that a person has their real life and their work life, and it's a procedure you can have done where when you go to work, you're basically a different person. You have no memory of being outside work. You only know work. When you leave work, you return to your normal life. You have no memory of work, so you can't steal secrets. You have no idea what you're doing. You don't know what happened at work. You have no idea who your friends are at work or anything like that. The idea of, one of the big parts of the show is, I never have to really work again because I don't remember it, so I never really work. But
there's a flip side to that too.
But the flip side is you are now condemning a part of yourself to basically slavery. They work all day, they leave work and immediately wake up and are back at work. They never leave work. They leave and then they're immediately back because
their life basically continues. Like, they go in the elevator and then they come back from the elevator. Like, they don't know anything in between.
Right. They walk out the door and they immediately walk back in the door. So there's no work never stops for them, and for the other person, work never starts. So it's a fascinating moral dilemma, and obviously the characters have different things of how they react to it and what their real life is and what their work life is and how they differ and how they're the same. So little context for the show.
And to add to it a little bit, the workers on the inside, they call themselves the innies, and the outside, even though it's the same person, they call them the outie. So that comes into play a little bit here. So to preface, I actually didn't realize this, but I'm fairly certain this is my 20th Comic-Con because, there's a couple years because of the pandemic, it got skipped. So if my math is correct, this is literally my 20th Comic-Con. And in those 20 years I've done some crazy-ass lines. And I don't think I've ever done anything like this ever before in my life, like line-wise. So they had an online registry, which I've tried for 3 days straight. I would wake up at either 5:30 or 5:55 a.m. because they would go live at 6 a.m. and you basically try and register a slot. Now, a lot of people tried and a lot of people didn't get in. Now with me, and which happened to some other folks too, it kept saying I wasn't in San Diego. I'm like, yo, motherfucker, I'm definitely in San Diego. Now, the first day I was like, maybe I didn't have my thing on because I'm a private person. I turn all that shit off. So fair enough. That's on me. So on the second day, I made sure I turned everything on and allowed everything, for the app to know where I am or the website to know where I am and all that stuff because I usually turn all that shit off. And still said I was not in San Diego. I was like, motherfucker, I am in San Diego. Third day, and I was like, okay, it's not working. I'm putting my clothes on. I'm going to just go stand in line because they had to stand by line every day, right? So it was like 6 o'clock. I put my clothes on. I left. Lynn actually was up at that point. I was like, goodbye. I'm going to go Severance line. They all knew. At this point, also, to preface, I've done everything I wanted to do at the con. I pretty much got everything I wanted at the con too. So this was my day to do just experiences, which I actually really, I've said this multiple times on this podcast. I really enjoy the experiences. They're like one of my favorite things at the con, right? Now this year there was like a D&D tavern, which surprisingly, with talking to people in the line was actually kind of a cool one. So I wish I did that because it was only like a 30-minute wait. You get a free drink. So surprisingly, that offside was actually cooler in hindsight than I thought. So I didn't do that one, and I kind of wish I did. The sleeper hits were probably the FX Horror Story, and there's like some school thing over at the Indigo, or not the Indigo, but the Hilton Bayfront, which ran late on Saturday. Had I known that, I would have done those too, but didn't know. Now the big three this year were, the Game of Thrones one, Heart of Dragon, whatever it's called, the Gray Man, the Netflix movie, and Severance. Now, Severance was hyped to be the biggest event or the biggest immersive thing at San Diego Comic-Con this year. So I was like, all right, that's the one I want to do. That's the one I want to make it to. And, I'll go there early. And if I get out early enough, I will do Gray Man. And if I get out of that early enough, I'll jump over to, American Horror Stories or The Town, whatever. Basically, my goal for the day was get as many experiences in as possible as time allows, right? And hopefully go into the con and say goodbye to some artist friends and so on. Before the whole thing shuts down. So I'm in line about 6:30 a.m. Now, there's two lines. There's the people that got the reserve spot, which, at their time, they show up and they line up on the other side. Now, I was in the standby line. Fully aware it's the standby line. Now, one would figure that if you have a standby line, that you actually have a way of getting those people in. That wasn't the case, which I didn't really know. They only took people from the standby line if someone didn't show up for their appointment. So the standby line did not move at all, except for people giving up and leaving, from 6:30 till about, I think 3:30 in the afternoon, because we were watching these two older ladies with bucket hats, and they were our markers in the front. I'm like, if they don't move, the line hasn't moved technically, because when people leave, that's a fake move, basically, right? We have to see if anybody got in. And, multiple times employees would come over and go, it's probably not happening. It's probably not happening. Do you want a pen? And I'm like, I ain't going to stand in line for bloody 8 hours, 9 hours and get a pen and walk out of this line. At this point, you're going to have to shut the door at me, right? So I stayed in the line. Of course, like all Comic-Con lines, you make friends with everybody around you. And, you take turns for bathroom, food. I even went into the convention center to say goodbye to my artist friends and so on, and kind of wrap things up real fast before heading back into the line. But when you spend 9.5 hours with the same four people, you really get to know them a little bit. So it's the nice thing about lines, but it's also the bad thing about lines because you were waiting for 9.5 hours, right? Eventually, we did make it in. It took the entire day. And
yeah, you said you got in at 4 o'clock, right?
It was 4 o'clock, and that was the last session. We were in the last 3 or 4. They at the end, there's some people that didn't show up, and all of a sudden they actually took a good amount of the standby line in. And also at that point, a lot of people gave up, so we were actually in a good position at that point. So we made it in, and it's. I want to rate this experience I didn't get to do the cool Westworld one many years ago, which I only hear really cool stories about. But my favorite thus far was the Blade Runner event, where you actually, you lined up and they have fake cops walking around. They ask you where you're from, and one lady was like LA, and he was like, LA's been burned down since 10 years ago or something like that. And then you realize, oh, he's in character. And when you go inside the Blade Runner was a VR thing where, you were going through this, chase scene, and the little car crashed in front of you, and only to realize that at that point, the fake wall that was in front of you is gone, and the crashed car that's burning is right in front of you, and there's rain. There's you literally walk into the set of Blade Runner, with actors playing parts, fully immersive experience where you get to go to a noodle bar, and the chef will tell you stories, and it's it's like secret cinema, the thing I did for Stranger Things in the UK.
Right.
This is just a smaller version of it. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I love these experiences. These are my favorite things of all time at this point, right? So Severance was exactly like that, and it was insanely cool. You basically walk in, you walk through a orientation scene because you're about to get your severance. You're about to agree to get severed. and you basically go through like multiple important scenes in the show. Like you get the the conference room where you got the little speaker say hello, who are you, and you have to play the part. Like you're like I don't know who I am, right? So this lady comes out and gives you your name, like my innie's name is Dylan D, like. But she goes around and she's really good. She plays off of you. Like, she like, there's one dude that had like an iPhone and a camera and like, glasses on, like, wanted to film everything. It wasn't me. I swear to God. I did film it, but that guy wasn't me. And she goes, oh, you have 5 eyes. It's like she just played off of it and stuff. And she was really kind of creepy and had like, weird pauses, just like in the show, right? She was like, all right, now that, you guys have your employee packages, follow me. And you kind of go into the next room and you kind of step into this, O&D room, and they kind of explain to you about the art and stuff like that. On the way, you kind of get some goodies, you get some hints. You get like different storylines. Like you might get a password from a guy that you have to tell a guy later in the storyline and stuff like that. That gets you like into another storyline. And so on. At one point, they had us in a surveillance room, and they were like, "Yeah, this is how we can make contact with your Audi." And I was like, for a brief moment, I was like, if they fucking pull this off, or if they somehow scan our faces and deepfake this on some video, I'm gonna flip the fuck out, right? Of course, they cut it off right before that and move us to the next section. There's a psychologist part. And then you kind of go into like that main work area. If you've never seen the show, just watch the trailer. You kind of get the idea. There's like this main work area with the four desks and seats. You kind of you have to do some tasks over there. You get to do like you could get to get a snack out of the fake vending machine with their like severance money and stuff like that. And eventually you leave. And it's funny because the same actress that was kind of in there doing the orientation is on the other side, and he was like, "Oh, hey again," like being completely different, like literally, like not knowing what happened inside and stuff like that. So, yeah, fantastic experience. I for the people that got to see it, everybody said it was insane. One lady that when we were waiting in line came out and was like, "Man, this is like one of the best things I ever did in my life." I was like, "Holy shit," Well. Anyways, it was a full immersive experience that went through multiple rooms with different scenes, with different objectives, and it was insanely cool. And one of the actresses, basically, you go to this elevator, and she basically runs around and is like a totally different person on the other side, and goes, "Oh, hey, nice seeing you again," like leaving work and stuff like that. So
right.
Super cool experience, like super worth it. Like they went all out. The sets, like it looked like you stepped into the show. You feel like you were in the show. Like,
and they gave you like a custom badge too, right? With your photo on it and everything.
They gave us a custom badge. You got a tote bag. You got like pencil. Like you got like some stationery, like Lumen stationaries.
So you got office supplies for work.
Yeah. Well, office supplies that everybody's gonna be jealous about. Also, there's like little. If you watch the show. There's certain things hidden in the rooms that you can actually discover, which was a really nice touch. Like if you knew where things were, they were actually there. So that was kind of cool. But yeah,
do they have like the book in the drawer or something?
I didn't check on the book, but I checked on the map, and it was actually there.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was really cool, and it was funny because I checked the wrong picture first. And it wasn't there. I was like, oh, man. But then I remember, well, wait, that's not his desk. And then I was like, this is his desk. And I was like, oh, it is here. I was like, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. But, no, I ranked this up there with Blade Runner, like, experience-wise. Like, it's really, really cool. I never got to do the Westworld, but this is up there for me. Like, yeah. But
yeah, I'm super jealous. I really wanted to do this, but I can't wait in line for 10 hours. I just can't.
And again,
no way.
You make friends with people. Like, I walked away multiple times. Like, I actually went into the convention center while in line, right? So, yeah, it was a crazy ass line.
No, that's super cool. Yeah, I know people did video, so I'm going to watch it online. I want to see what it is. But I wanted to hear your experience first. Yeah, no, I'm super jealous of that stuff. It's so neat. I'd love to see. I'd love to.
I mean, at that point, I did everything I wanted, so that was like priority. Like, you kind of like prioritize things. So like, you know what? Yeah. If this is the only thing I do today, totally fine with me, right? So with that attitude, the line doesn't really matter, right? You kind of entertain yourself. Like the Dr. Squash people with the soap came by like 4 times, so I got a good amount of soap for the next 6 months. Like, like random things, like, at one point we're like, next to a restaurant that started serving us beer while we're in line, and they had to like serve it to like the outer counter, and we would be on the other side of the counter, like, and at some point the line moved and the 2 girls in front had to chug their beers. It was like, other entertaining things happen because it's what you make out of it, right? You start sharing stories with each other and stuff like that. And of course you have to do food runs because it's just like, dude, I was in that line for 6:30 to close to like 4:00. It was completely insane. And of course, at that point, you know each other so well that your little new group goes and we had like a drink afterwards. Like we actually told, like, even get split up, we're gonna meet afterwards. We went to that restaurant, we had a drink, had some food, and at that point I was like, shit, man, I need to make it back to the hotel. I still need to pack and make it to the airport.
Nice.
Yeah. So overall, really cool con. I have to say I got everything done I wanted to. I got to see everything I wanted to see. Would I've liked to see some more stuff with the experiences, sure. But, the one I really wanted to see, I got in, and it was insanely worth it. So, even with the crazy-ass line.
I super fun time. I did a bunch, mellow, really, in a lot of ways. It's hard to have a mellow convention because there's always so much going on. But it's, like, I didn't feel like we had a lot to do, but I didn't feel like I was like swamped and just like, like crushed in crowds and hated it. It got hot. It's tough with the mask on at points for sure. But
I got this really weird
stay hydrated, and
they had like these umbrellas that was covering the top of my head. But I guess just a piece of my neck was out, so I had like this weird line sunburn. That's really great.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, I get so sunburned, I can't do that type of stuff. I can't be.
Dude, you were not able to take the heat at all, man. I'm like in the heat walking around, and you're like, "Oh man, I can't take it." And
it's horrible. I can't deal with heat at all.
You should see him walk outside of the shop with a super air conditioned.
No. I was outside with him. I'd be like, "Let's cross the street." He's like, "Oh no, I'm melting."
No shade on this side. Stay on the shade side. Yeah. Well, we've been going for very, very, very long, and I'm still exhausted from Comic-Con. Any last thoughts before we wrap up? We haven't talked. We have weeks of news to talk about, so we'll get to all that over the course of the next few weeks. But fun personal con experience. Any last things? I think I covered everything. So at least on my end. Lane, Toby, anything?
I would just say that it was good to see it back.
Forever.
What was that?
I'm just happy to see it back, and that.
Oh yeah,
like you said, most people were masked up, so most people were playing it safe. Nothing, and even though it's not full con, it felt like we're kind of getting back to normal again. It's nice.
It did feel like we're going back to normal. Yeah, it was really, really cool. I didn't know how much I needed this. I was like, it's like I did the San Jose Toy Show, which is not the same, but this is like, I get to see Philip again. I get to see, like, people I know again. Like, one of the guys was like, man, it's really good to see you because we haven't seen each other in like fucking 3 years, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it was really lovely. It's super cool.
We're also forgetting something.
What?
What's that?
It's that Toby got older during the con. Happy belated birthday, young man.
Yep. It's always Toby's birthday at Comic-Con.
Yeah, I mean, me and Ryan celebrated by going to movies. Like, Ryan was willing to go to a Kevin Smith thing for my birthday. So thank you very much. Even though I paid for the lunch, but thank you very much. Well, Ryan did pick up a werewolf, so we're even. But thanks for joining me, man. Like,
of course.
I really want to do that alone, and I appreciate you coming with me for my little movie's birthday lunch.
Yeah. No, your birthday is always some point during Comic-Con, so it's good for the most, usually right around that same time. So yeah, it's good. It was good times.
Yeah, my birthday is at Comic-Con so many times that my friends don't even bother trying to celebrate it with me anymore because they always know I'm at Comic-Con.
They'll know you're at the con.
Comic-Con folks always know my birthday is on. I used to have my birthday dinner with Lord and so on every year, year after year.
Yeah.
But no, thanks for joining me for my movie lunch.
Always.
And, that was cool.
And kind of like, what you guys were saying too, right? I mean, there's people that I've met during the pandemic that I got to finally meet in person, right, for the first time, because of Comic-Con. And, same, like you said, people I haven't seen since 2019, but then also, people at some of the companies where I'm like, hey, I actually get to finally talk to you in person and, shoot the shit in real life. So, yeah, it's a very cool experience. And very happy.
I like the amount of people that was there. Everything I wanted to get wasn't moving mountains. A couple of years, there were some moving mountains involved, right? Everything was except for the Severance, which granted was actually a standby line, not I didn't get in on the regular registration, but other than that, everything was super smooth. I was able to get tickets fairly easily. I was able to, line up in the morning and get things really easily. I even scored some original art. I never thought in a million years I'd be able to score, right? So, overall, man, it was super cool, dude. I really enjoyed this amount of people, this amount of events. It was not too much.
Yeah.
It was not too little. It was just the right balance for where everything was just kind of smooth and fun.
Yep. All right. That is it.
That Wakanda trailer, man. Fucking best movie of all time.
We'll get to it. Yeah, a lot to talk about in the next couple of weeks about all the news from Comic-Con.
I just watched trailers because they got dropped on Twitter, so I was excited about the Sandman stuff. It's for me, that
quite a few to get to.
Con stuff.
We are going to go though. I do apologize in advance because, unfortunately, because of Toby, it's not your fault, but just I do apologize in advance because this is going to take some editing to get everything back together because Toby had some internet problems multiple times. So for everyone listening, my hope was I'd have this up after the recording. That's not the case. This will be up sometime this week.
Just finished listening to it, right?
I know, and I'm apologizing that it's so late. But I've already mentioned this on Twitter and Facebook, so be aware for it. Okay, I'm just going to end this podcast. I got to go to bed. We will catch everyone next week.